on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show's on the radio. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. How do you do? Great to be with you one more time. Again, I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, in charge of the radio broadcast today, the pinnacle of professionalism. He is the great one, the alpha and the omega of ESPN Upstate. Hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the content cash cow. He is Lonzo. What up, Zoe?
What a beautiful day. You know, the sun is shining. We're in the studio. We're talking sports.
Ain't it though? Like it's glorious outside. We got we got all the NFL and college football we can handle, and college basketball underway. Clemson and South Carolina both picking up dubs. Furman picking up a dub last night as well.
And you're wearing a hockey jersey, and I know you feel like just, you know, whoever comes through the door next, hard check into the door.
Yeah, except for Jokic style. Jokic got one game, by the way, for that. We talked about that yesterday to open the show. We got the results today. 1 game suspension for Nikola Jokic. Just to level it out, Markieff Morris ended up getting a fine, though no suspension, which I get. Markieff Morris's hit was technically in the basketball realm, I guess. I mean, it was a hard foul. I probably could have knocked him for a flagrant, but it was in the realm of basketball. I told you this was going to happen. Jokic, I honestly think this was a slap on the wrist for Nikola Jokic, and a deserved slap on the wrist. He didn't deserve anything more than a slap on the wrist, but a 1-game suspension for the NFL or for the NBA's reigning MVP. Markieff Morris eats $10-ish, a couple of $10,000 worth of fines, and well-deserved. I think the NBA handled that, right? I think the NBA handled that well. Jokic eats 1 game. Markieff gets a fine for doing a basketball thing that was probably overboard. I got no issue with what the NBA did here. They sent the right message.
So he's suspended. That means he loses a game check, though, right?
Yeah, I believe.
Because they don't mention any money. They just mention he's suspended. And
Yeah.
I just, I know it's an assumption, but I think usually when you're suspended, although if you're suspended, they'll say suspension without pay. So maybe he does get paid. Maybe he gets a day off free of, you know.
I was going to say, if you're the Nugs, you just let him hang out at the house, right?
Well, yeah, for sure.
Pull up some popcorn, watch us play at home. Get y'all comfortable. You earned it. All right, we got a lot of stuff we got to get to today. A lot of stuff to talk about on the radio broadcast today. College football playoff rankings are out. We're going to get into that here in literally moments from right now. Potential destinations for Odell Beckham Jr. have been knocked down to reportedly 3, potentially 4. We're going to tell you what 3 teams might end up with Odell Beckham Jr. as a decision is likely either today or tomorrow. And we'll talk about whether or not you'd want that cat on your team from a team standpoint and from a him standpoint. We got that coming up here in just a minute. 1:20 this afternoon, John Harkes is the head coach of your Greenville Triumph. The Triumph are at home at Legacy Early College this Saturday evening, 7:05 kick in the USL League One semifinals. They are at home in a game that, if they win, puts them 90 good minutes away from another championship. Should be a good one. The Triumph on Saturday will host the Chattanooga Red Wolves. That one's at 7 o'clock. Excuse me, not 7:05, 7 o'clock. Over on the other side of the bracket, Union Omaha takes on Tucson. That one is going to be at Omaha. If Omaha wins and the Triumph beat Chattanooga, then the Triumph will be on the road for the USL League One championship final. If Tucson wins over Union Omaha, then Tucson will come to Greenville on the 20th. We'll have a breakdown of that at 1:20 with head coach John Harkes. All that being said, Lonzo, why waste time setting up segments when we can just do one?
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch!
It is the lunch breakdown of 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog. Whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table. Today, these will be the things that we are talking about. We'll start with item number 1 on the lunch breakdown. Yesterday, we heard from Matt Rule that starting quarterback Sam Darnold was nursing a sore shoulder, said that they needed some time to take a look at it, to find out just how bad it was and if he'd be ready for this weekend. We now know that he will not be ready for this weekend or several weekends after that. You can go ahead and call the Panthers season a wash at this point. Darnold has an incomplete fracture of his right shoulder blade, and according to ESPN, is likely to miss several weeks with the injury. The Panthers believe the injury happened in the second quarter of the L to the Patriots on Sunday. Darnold threw 3 picks in the loss, including one return 88 by J.C. Jackson for a touch when he missed Ian Thomas. It was wide open in the end zone. Matt Rule said yesterday that Darnold reported soreness in his shoulder after the game and was sent for an MRI. Now we know it is an incomplete fracture of the shoulder blade. P.J. Walker will replace Darnold as the team's starting quarterback, starting with Sunday afternoon's game against the Arizona Cardinals. The Panthers also announced yesterday that they are planning to sign veteran quarterback Matt Barkley off the Tennessee Titans practice squad pending a physical that should be completed later on today. In 9 games this season, Darnold has thrown for 1,986 yards, 7 touchdowns, completed 59.5% of his pass attempts, and has 5 rushing touchdowns. But the Panthers are 4-5 after starting the season 3-0. Go ahead and stick a fork in Sam Darnold because he's done. He may get back before the end of the year. Does not ultimately matter for the Panthers.
Yeah, he's for sure he's done, and even if he isn't, he's done. They're shutting him down. They absolutely are.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
And they're also, they're saying, well, we're done for the season. We're not going to make the playoffs. Or, I mean, you're bringing in Matt Barkley. I mean, that's got to be what's the last time Matt Barkley played? When did he play college?
Good question. I know that he's been on about 9 NFL teams in his career.
But I could be wrong.
Barkley is in his 9th NFL season. He has been picked up by the Eagles, the Cardinals, the Bears, the 49ers, the Bengals, and the Bills over that career. He's totaled 2,699 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 22 interceptions over 19 games.
Wow. Yeah, that's the guy the Panthers need right there. There's some insurance for sure.
Well, here's the problem. Who else? Cam ain't it. Don't stop.
Bring Jake Delhomme out of the booth.
Seriously.
I mean, he probably would play better than Barkley.
Yeah, you're riding with Darnold next year. All right, you're locked in. You don't have to like it. You're locked in. There's not going to be much trade value there for him. So unless you're gonna, I got to tell you, I hate to say this because I know a lot of y'all don't like it. You want to know why P.J. Walker's starting and Matt Barkley has been signed to the roster, Lonzo? Because it's tank time for the Panthers. It's tank time for the Panthers. You're 4-5. You're 4-5. Finish the season 4-13.
Well,
don't win another game.
If it was tank time, then CMC wouldn't play another down.
Okay. I'm good with that. He's not going to be good with that. He's not going to like it. But it's tank time. I'm shutting 22 down. I'm shutting Darnold down. P.J. Walker's the guy. It's going to infuriate Robbie Anderson. When Robbie Anderson's head explodes after this, we're going to see the mushroom cloud here in Greenville, Spartanburg. He's not going to be thrilled because this is one more year of his career down the tank. And I got to tell you, he might force his way out of Carolina next year, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do about it at this point. Right? What good does it do you to go win 3 more games against really bad teams, Lonzo? What does it do for you? Oh, we got pride. Yeah, you got pride in 7 and 10. I like it. You got pride and a lower draft pick.
But again, you know what you're saying is you're telling players to not go out and compete. You can't do that. They're going to go out and try to win.
Now go get better.
It doesn't mean that the coaches won't put them in a position where they can't win. If you're Matt Rule, you don't want to shut it down. You're not exactly, killing it every year.
Tank time. Tank time.
I don't think so.
Tank time. Don't have to love it. Here's the thing. Matt Rule gets some leniency here. Some leniency here. This is the point, if you're Matt Rule, that you go to David Tepper and you go, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and throw the rest of this season. We're going to get better. We're going to practice hard. We're going to give the next generation of kids some opportunity to go out there and get better. We're going to do all that.
Now, you may
want,
decide to do that, but I don't think you go talk to the owner and say, oh, yeah, by the way, I can't win for you anymore this year, so we're just going to tank so we can see what we can do next year.
Why not? Why can't you do that? Nobody's coming to the games anyway.
Well,
you're selling more tickets to Eagles fans than Panthers fans.
As the owner, I don't want my coach coming and telling me that.
I mean, I get that. I get that because winning makes money. But here's the thing. You ain't winning with P.J. Walker as your quarterback, but 3 or 4 more games anyway. We thought 500 would be a solid upward trajectory. It ain't now. Darnold's done. Matt Barkley's your backup quarterback. It's tank time. We're coming back to that later on in the show, but we got to get the rest of these in here. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Looks like if the reports from Tom Pelissero of NFL.com are to believed, Houston did not trade Deshaun Watson, not because they didn't have options, but because they just didn't want to. What do I mean by that? Tom Pelissero is reporting that the Texans received many offers, multiple offers that included packages of 3 first-round draft picks and 2 third-round picks for the disgruntled Houston Texans quarterback. Of course, Watson has a no-trade clause, and to this point, he has only waived it to play for the Miami Dolphins. Perhaps they got those offers, and Deshaun said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not playing there, because he does still have that power, much to the chagrin of many NFL fans. That's what a no-trade clause does. There's no bad behavior clause attached to a no-trade clause. So we don't know exactly why the trigger wasn't pulled, but there's only 2 options. A, the Texans said, no, we're going to let this play out. Maybe we can talk him into staying. You can't. Or B, Deshaun went, no, Miami, Carolina, or bust. That's it. That's all we're doing. Now, let's connect these 2 stories together, Alonzo. What are the odds the Panthers are right now, Matt Rule, Tepper, the whole organization, is sitting in the office, looking at each other and going, let's pull the trigger on Deshaun. We know it's going to get us bad pub. We know it's going to get us bad press. There are a lot of people in this area who still support Deshaun, or at least are giving him the benefit of the doubt. Let's pull the trigger. Let's put him under center this weekend against Arizona. You can't. It's too late now, but theoretically, right? What are the odds the Panthers have now changed their stance after losing Sam Darnold to bring in Watson and just knowing that they're going to eat Sam Darnold's contract next year? I don't think those odds are very good, but maybe. We'll circle back to that later on in the show as well. Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown today. You knew what it was going to be. Your NCAA football, college football playoff rankings are out. And boy, howdy, has there been some discussion amongst the talking heads about them today. Georgia, the undisputed number 1 in the country at 9-0. Not the only undefeated team, though, but you don't find the next one until when? Number 5. Cincinnati jumped by the Ohio State Buckeyes. Georgia, number 1 at 9-0. Alabama takes it to number 2 at 8-1. Oregon, by way of, and I want you to make a note of this because we're going to circle right back to it in 30 seconds. By way of their heads-up win over Ohio State 2 months ago, goes to number 3, Ohio State to number 4. And we said earlier in this week, okay, the committee clearly values head-to-head victories, and that's why Oregon's over Ohio State. And I think we pretty much all agreed that was the reason that the Ducks were ahead of the Bucks, right? Well, number 5, the Cincinnati Bearcats, left out again. 3 8-1 teams ahead of the 9-1 team. They didn't do themselves any favors with that shootout against Tulsa, but it is what it is. We'll come back to them. But here's why I said put a pin in Oregon over Ohio State, because the committee said heads-up games get recognition, right? Hey, Lonzo, Michigan and Michigan State played each other when? ?
Was that last week?
It was very recent. Who won that game? Do you recall, Lonzo?
I believe Michigan State won that game.
That is correct. Sparty won that game, which makes number 6 and 7 on the playoff rankings very interesting, Zoe, because number 6 is Michigan. End of sentence. Just regular old Michigan. And behind them, lower than them in the rankings, are the Michigan State Spartans, who just beat them. So, in the 3-4 position, who's better right now, Oregon or Ohio State, Lonzo?
Ohio State.
Yeah, correct. That's the correct answer. Ohio State's better than Oregon.
That, of course, was my unbiased opinion because, that's all I get. Unbiased.
Yo, I ain't got a duck or a nut in that fight, all right? Ohio State's better than Oregon right now. But they're behind Oregon. Why? Because Oregon beat them heads up. And that's cool. I'm good with that. Even if it was 2 months ago, I'm cool with that. But then you turn around, literally 2 spots later, and you have Michigan ahead of Michigan State, a team that they just beat a week ago.
I get the fact that people don't get this because it doesn't. I don't like it either. But doesn't this come down to Purdue? Does it really? I mean, it comes down to Purdue. The fact that Michigan State lost to Purdue.
I guess
that's the only thing that makes sense. It really comes down to Purdue. A bad team beats a team that's undefeated, and that's the reason why Michigan won.
I got no issue with that. I think, in fact, I'd even go so far as to say you're correct. The problem that I have, and we're going to talk about this because I'm not the only one with this problem right now. The problem that I have with it, Lonzo, is that Ohio State only has one loss to a top 3 team in Oregon. The Oregon Ducks lost to Stanford, who is not Christian McCaffrey Stanford anymore.
There's a recency thing going on here for sure, because at least with, Ohio State lost to Oregon. It was the first game.
It's the opposite of a recency thing. Recency.
Well, the Stanford game was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, but so was the Ohio State Oregon game.
No.
If you want to talk recency, then Michigan State should be ahead of Michigan. If we're talking recency, that game just happened. A week and a half ago, that game just happened.
Well, again, like most of these, it's going to work itself out in the next couple of weeks because if things go the way I want them to, Ohio State plays Michigan and they play Michigan State in the next 3 weeks. So both of those teams, I hope, will have another loss on their record, and that sorts itself out.
We're going to find out. I'm not the only one that has complaints this morning. When we come back, some of the biggest voices in the SEC. I've got audio from all of them. Before I get there, since I know he's here, want to wish our buddy P1 Keegan, who's in the chat every day, a good friend of mine on and off the air. Happy birthday, big fella. It's old Keegan's birthday today. That's 3.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I would count it too.
And Keegan's birthday present to me is a 3-1 lead.
It's a 3-1, but it's only Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah, I got my chance. I also have an ace up my sleeve that I can use anytime I want if I want to win.
Did you just say it's also Thursday? You know it's Wednesday, right?
I said Wednesday.
Did you? I got a light over here too, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know, but the whole thing is, I can always use that.
Happy birthday!
I won't do it again.
I'm trying to say happy birthday to my friend.
Yeah, I tried to say happy birthday and you counted it against me. So.
Happy birthday, Keegan.
Happy birthday, Keegan.
Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
I already said yes, but then I started thinking about it's not really a Christmas song. So if a song is sung in a movie with snow in it, it doesn't make it a Christmas song.
Correct. Lots of places.
Although
Christmas.
most movies with singing in them set in a snowy setting are at Christmas.
Correct. Or you maybe have him act out a famous Christmas movie, Christmas scene as Gollum.
Oh, that's also a possibility. I don't know how good a Smeagol is, though. Hopefully,
you haven't heard it yet?
No, hopefully it sucks. That's the whole point. I mean, if it's good, great. If it's really bad, that's also great.
All right. I pushed the button and it didn't go. Dang it! 3-2.
I didn't have.
My hey, yeah, Ed. The Rob Brown Show back on the radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Let's get some audio in here, shall we? Let me start with clip number. I'm going to play a couple of clips here. Let me start with clip number 3A, Lonzo. I found this amusing last night. The College Game Day crew is on the air breaking down the playoff rankings as they come in. And as they go down through the playoff order, they get to the fact that Ohio State is behind Oregon. And they give credit to the College Football Playoff Ranking Committee before we get to number 6 and 7 for what they considered a key trait.
Before we see Michigan State, one quick thing here. The 13 members in that committee, they vote every week, and it'll only take a few people to change their mind. But the one thing you see here, and I know nobody was really impressed, some consistency from one week to the next. They thought these teams were in this order. They left them in this order because they all kind of played the same.
Nobody showed that they should be out of this order.
Right.
They said they deserve credit for consistency. Started them in that order and ended them in that order. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. I would think so. But then they took it just a little bit further. Then, clip 3B, they saw the Michigan State rankings, utilizing the same thing we talked about in the last segment. Over here, the heads-up win mattered, even though it was 2 months ago. Over here, it didn't matter, even though it was a week and a half ago. Here's what they said.
Reese and David, you guys have Michigan State here. I've got Michigan State here.
I got Michigan at 6.
Let's see what 6 is.
I got Michigan.
Okay, now I've got a problem.
Oh, really?
I do. I said number 7's Michigan State.
Head to head.
Now, it may be close.
I don't get that.
We've got Oregon head-to-head over there, and
They beat Ohio State.
There you go. It went from, hey, golf clap for consistency to, oh, now I got a problem. Well, yeah, and in fairness, I'm not upset with them for that reaction. They didn't know Michigan State was going to be that way. So on one hand, they go, okay, did it this way last week, then did it again this week. We respect that. To them immediately not doing it that way 2 spots later. 2 spots later. But they weren't the only ones. Let's go to clip 3C. Former Georgia offensive lineman Matt Stinchcomb was on the SEC network, and he broke down his thoughts on it.
I don't like it. It doesn't make any sense.
Can't tell at all.
No, I mean, when you look at it, if we're just talking top 6, right? And the reason I don't like it is because when you look at 3 and 4, Oregon and Ohio State, 2 teams that are separated by 2 months of football and 7 games. Ohio State's a better football team right now, but yes, they in fact lost to Oregon. And you think, okay, that's fine at that juncture, but then why is it later on that Michigan, who just last week lost to Michigan State, somehow or other has leaped them 1 week removed from that? I don't understand how that could possibly be the case. And you're left with, Ohio State, they don't have any ranked wins. Okay, fine. Is it that bad of a loss to Oregon at number three?
I was going to say.
Just what's troubling is that are we valuing a good loss over what could be a good win? It's like they've inverted their logic. At 3 and 4, it works this way, but then at 6 and 7, it works the opposite way. I don't get that.
Me either, Matt. Me either. Roman Harper is on the same boat too. Clip 3D. This is Roman Harper reacting to not just Michigan State, but Cincinnati's position as well.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I will say the one team that I'm a little disappointed in is Cincinnati, who is not in the top 4 this week, but it's okay. They will continue to play games and they will hopefully move up because they are one of the 2 teams that does have a top 10 win according to the rankings. Yeah. I know they struggle versus Tulsa, but they have a top 10 win, and the only other team that can actually say that is Oregon.
They needed 2 goal line stands in the final minutes to beat Tulsa.
Yeah, you're so worried about the past, Alyssa. Let's just stay current right now.
That's like 4 days, 3 days ago.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It didn't matter with Michigan and Michigan State just nine days ago. The rankings really do not make a lot of sense. Alabama struggled against LSU. They did not move. Georgia's clearly the only team that continues to dominate in college football week in and week out. And all these other teams, we could literally throw them in a hat and we might not really understand where they're going to rank them at the end of the day. On every Tuesday when we come out here, we have to try and explain and talk through this. When Stinch is going absolutely bananas in the green room. He doesn't like any of it. He doesn't want to. He's trying to put it all together. He's got his notepad out going crazy. Fumes are coming out of sight. And now we have to sit over here and just watch this great TV.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Where's the flow chart?
Love it. Love it. You know what I love? Every one of these clips has the same sentence. It doesn't make sense. Every one of them. Clip number 1, if you don't mind. Paul Feinbaum reacting to Michigan over Michigan State with the same logic that everybody else has used. Here's what Feinbaum had to say.
How could you possibly justify, Paul Feinbaum, Michigan being ahead of Michigan State right now?
You can't. I mean, I was gobsmacked when I heard that last night. And then the explanation from the committee chairman, Gary Barta, made even less sense. He said, we looked at it and we concluded Michigan was the better team. No, you must have missed a game if that was your conclusion. I understand when you play early in the season, like Ohio State and Oregon, things can change 8 weeks later, but nothing has changed. That game was 12 days ago. And of all the preposterous statements that this committee has uttered in 8 years, that may be number 1.
Love it. Love it. You know what? I've said this before on the show. Do you know how hard you have to screw up to get me and Paul Feinbaum to agree on something? So I've been broadcasting within Paul Feinbaum's sphere of reality my entire career. The first station I worked for down in Destin, Fort Walton Beach, you know what my directive was? In my 3-hour show, I was allowed to talk other things besides SEC football, Lonzo, for 2 segments a day. 2 segments a day. We get 12 segments a day. 10 of them all year long, 10 of them had to be SEC football. I was allowed to talk NFL, NBA, MLB, MMA, wrestling, whatever, for 2 segments a day maximum.
Did they stay on that? Did they?
For years.
Yeah, I mean, did you try to stray just to see if they were still listening? Okay.
And once so there was a dude that hosted basically an SEC football only show. And that's the guy that went to jail that I replaced. And when I took over his job, the ratings, this may shock you, went up. The ratings went up for that show. When he came back, they were like, well, the ratings went up, but we think that was just because people were interested in the drama of him going to jail, not because your show is good. So they moved me to a 9 to midnight slot. And my 9 to midnight slot, Lonzo, was like 88% of his rush hour 5 o'clock ratings. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Almost.
Yeah, and generally, shows on at that time of night, they don't really pull in ratings. So, there's that too. So, I mean, you must be pretty good. You might almost be, well, let's face it, you're on the best show in the state of South Carolina.
I am no longer close to award winning.
Yes, you are award winning.
We are award winning on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Well,
here's the point.
Next year, it's going to be, you're going to be a multiple award winner.
Fingers crossed. Here's the point. If you get me and Paul Feinbaum in the same bucket together with a problem with something that you did, it's a problem. All right? Paulie F and I don't typically land on the same side of the aisle because Paul Feinbaum has made his career. I hope I'm not throwing shade, except for I am. Paul Feinbaum has made his career by accepting phone calls from the lowest common denominator of college football fans and turning them into a clown show and taking advantage of it. That's his whole career. All right? That's his whole career. But in this case, he's spot on. He's spot on. What we saw out of the college football playoff ratings yesterday, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, right? It's not the worst thing that's ever happened. But the point that I have, the problem that I have, Lonzo, is this is all within the argument for expansion. The fact that in spots 3 and 4, you have one line of thinking, and then in spots 6 or 5 and 6, you have an entirely different line of thinking. And by the way, spots 5 and 6, that might be the difference between getting into the Final Four or not. So it does matter.
I don't know about that. 5, yes, 6, no. In the end, if you look at how things probably will play out, more than likely, and I'm going to say it, more than likely Alabama beats Georgia. Alabama and Georgia both stay in the top 4. Oregon wins out. Ohio State wins out. Who cares about the rest? And I know it's mean, but it's not going to matter order because if you're not in the top 4, you're not in. And I know I get that you want to be closer to the 4 than what you are. But both those teams, Michigan and Michigan State, don't exactly have easy schedules for the rest of the season. Chances are one or both of them are going to lose.
So Georgia beats Bama, hands them their second loss. They're out.
If that happens, yes.
Okay.
Then somebody 6 jump Cincinnati because they're not going to put Cincinnati in.
Nope. They're going to do everything in their power not to.
Hey, and here's what's going to happen to Oklahoma. Undefeated Oklahoma miraculously is going to make this amazing leap in the next starting week.
Yep.
They're going to make that leap, and then they're going to get even higher, and then suddenly they're going to make their way into the 4.
But again, if you're 5-6, if you're 5 instead of 6, you still don't control your own destiny, technically. But it's a little easier to steer that ship. It matters. It matters. I said ship. Steer that ship.
It didn't sound like it, so don't get mad. Don't get mad. This is for us, man. This is for us. It's not. It ain't about right or wrong. Maybe you didn't hear yourself right, and if I heard you wrong, then I erred on the side of caution.
If you are in 5th instead of
Can we just
6th,
say boat? Can you just say boat?
it is a little easier to steer that ship.
There we go. I love the overemphasis.
Ship.
It's a job saver.
I've been dump buttoned twice in my career, and both times were because Lonzo heard what I didn't say. Whatever, I'll take it. Keeps my job safe.
I was gonna say, if you get you get mad at me, you get mad at me. If I'm and this is what I.
All right, let's take a break. We're back after this. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate.
Now, who's going to be industrious? Who's going to go back on the Facebook Live feed and listen and see if he said it or not?
I said ship. Ship.
Let's say even just then when you said it, it's
ship.
Yeah, I could also be that snot.
Arby's is launching an 80 proof French fry flavored vodka.
An Odyssey station. Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Companies. If you thought you missed your chance to refinance and save, think again. Mortgage rates have recently dropped below 3%, and Rocket Mortgage can help you save big. You could lower your monthly payment and prepare yourself for a better financial future. But you've got to act now. Call us today at 833-8-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com. Conditions apply. Lending license in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030. Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me at Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday will be at 429 East Main Street in Liberty. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate.
For the ones who are always on the road. For the ones who keep things running. For the innovators and the problem solvers. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Experienced staff at local branches, free access to experts to help answer your toughest questions. So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know that United Healthcare helps connect you to doctors and therapists with 24/7 access to virtual care?
So I could have therapy from my couch?
Yep.
Or a doctor appointment from my car?
Apparently somebody, when I said I don't have a duck or nut in the fight, thought that I said an effing nut in the fight, and said, hope you guys don't get an email from the man. Apparently I'm walking a line. I didn't know I was walking today. Texter says, what a load of ship. The committee is full of ship heads. I would go as far as saying they are all full of ship and wonder if they know ship about college football. Can we read that text on the air?
No.
Okay.
And here's the reason why.
That's the one I wanted to read.
Yeah, that's some of the, there's examples like that in the dump a button training. And
yeah.
But you can say it on the stream. So
Did you? I don't know if I should say this on stream, but it is what it is. Are we on stream? Yeah, we are.
Yeah, but we're coming back. So
okay, I'll tell you in the next break. Pittsburgh Tony, I want you to know I saw your text. I loved your text. And I absolutely did not get permission to read your text on the air. Let's just say Pittsburgh Tony had a little fun with a word that I used in the last segment that Lonzo heard as a completely different word and dump buttoned me for it. But I got your text and it was hysterical, and I absolutely can't read it on the air.
Hey Tony, I vetoed it, but it's not really.
But Lonzo did laugh at it.
Yeah,
I want you to know.
Yeah, I did.
He
but
absolutely cracked up at it.
And I also don't want to take a chance with that many people of whether you said it or not the first time. You accidentally.
I mean, look, I've been doing this 15 years. I have never slipped a curse word on the air.
You know, I've heard.
Let me rephrase that. I have never slipped a curse word outside of the ones deemed acceptable on the air.
All right, so here's usually the ones that happen are ones where people think their mic is off. Yeah, I've heard that from pretty big professionals before. But again, I'm always going to err on the side of caution, and I invite you, if you think that I'm wrong, to go back on the Facebook Live feed, because that's the place where you can find it, or on the podcast, because the internet, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So something's bleeped out, it may not necessarily be bleeped out, or it won't be bleeped out on the stream. So you can go back and check the podcast. And was I right, or was Rob right, or did you hear what I thought I heard? Because it doesn't matter if he said it or not. I thought that it sounded like it.
Tony says, "Come on, Lonzo, that's the point. Read it." Let me tell you guys.
Add Prude to my title, but also add someone who's been here 21 years and would like to make it to 22.
Oh, as I've said many times, I will bow to Lonzo's discretion every time. All right, I will bow to Lonzo's discretion every time. Yeah. What was? Oh, yeah. So we get once a year. We get a whole training rundown on the dump button, right? When to use it, how to use it, why to use it, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that they basically say is don't replace bad words with words that sound very close to bad words in the context that you would use the bad word. That's a dump. So it is what it is.
I remember having an argument with a certain host that may or may not be on these airwaves who wanted to say a certain word and I wouldn't let him say it. Oh, I could say it. And it's like, why do you want to say that word so bad? Why is that word so important to you? Richard Nixon was once our president. And he just wanted to say this word so bad. And then the next time the training came around, it was specifically mentioned that you could not say that word.
Sean Texan says the dump button didn't work on the Odyssey app. I heard boat all day. That's just what I'm just going to replace that word with boat from now on.
It's a safe word. It is.
What an absolute load of boat.
All right. See, I think you can get away with that.
Yeah.
Because, tugboats are pretty big.
Yeah.
Huge
boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big old boats. Yeah.
What a load of. All right. That's enough of that. Also, I now have two texters that say I absolutely said boat, not the dump button word. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776.
By the way, after the show, I have it written down. We will explore.
Oh, that's fine.
Just to find out. Because I hope I'm wrong.
I can't. I've started something. I have created a monster I immediately regret creating. I really do. Let's take a break. We come back. One more rundown the college football playoff rankings. And then to start the next hour, I'm going to make the argument. It's time for the Panthers to tank the season. Just throw it away, light it on fire, get yourself a better draft pick for next year, and move on. That's the only course of action now. Because there is still one way out. But I don't think it's worth sacrificing your soul for it. Talk about that next on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate. Oh, man. Well, that went south real quick.
By the way, the texters are going to say they heard it just to get in your head, even if they didn't hear it.
No,
and
they
it's
all
working.
said ship.
Did they? Okay.
Mm-hmm. They're all saying they heard ship.
Of course they did.
So this is Cassius Marsh, the guy that got the taunting call, who is now known by Cassius Marsh, Lord of the North, first of his name.
Which he should be.
Or Cassius Marsh, soon to be killer of Wolverine.
Yeah, I can see that too. The anniversary edition of Skyrim comes out tomorrow. I'm going to make my Nord look just like him.
For it. That is Cassius Marsh, ladies and gentlemen, doing his best impersonation of Jon Snow.
I just want to say that, man, that guy looks innocent. Like he would never taunt at all. Canceled on us. Could you come and watch our kids? Yeah, he looks like that guy. He also looks like someone who lives in the north. Oh, he's in Chicago. What do you know? If you lived in Chicago, you'd wear a coat with a hood like that too. How long are you going to leave him up there? He's staring at me. It's kind of weird.
As long as it takes to make people uncomfortable.
It's kind of weird. It's like, stop staring at me.
year is coming to a close and you're still struggling to open and close your old windows? It's time with American-made windows. Don't go through another year with those stubborn, outdated, leaky, and drafty windows. Update and upgrade with our beautiful, energy-efficient windows today. We do expert work quickly and cleanly, so don't wait. Visit amwupstate.com or call 334-6030. And remember, the best windows are American-made.
It's a special edition of high school football, playoff football, as the Burns Rebels play at Northwestern in second round action this Friday night at 7, powered by your local Hooters market on 106.3 WORD and the Odyssey app.
Text 818181. You will receive recurring automated marketing messages from Echelon. Messaging data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at echelonfit.com/SMS.
What inspires you to move? Want to work out better and get in the best shape of your life? Then go to Echelon and get connected. With Echelon, you get top quality stationary bikes, smart rowers, sleek fitness screens, or auto-fold treadmills, now up to $400 off retail. Plus, you'll be connected to world-class instructors like Nicole Griffin and Michael Brown. Thousands of daily live and on-demand classes with great music from your favorite artists. Plus, with flexible payment plans, it'll be easy for you to get the community, the inspiration, and the motivation of an immersive studio quality experience in the comfort of your home. Don't pay a ton. Get connected with Echelon today. And right now, for a limited time, radio listeners get up to $800 off MSRP. To get this Echelon exclusive radio discount, text TRAIN to 818181. Text TRAIN to 818181 to get up to $800 off MSRP. That's TRAIN to 818181.
We're not here to take part. We're here.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on as it is ESPN Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you coming up in the next hour of the show. We open with the argument why it's time for the Panthers to go ahead and tank the season. I know you don't like it. I know you want to see some dubs, but at the end of the day, this year's a wash. I'll tell you why. And at 1:20, John Harkes, head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed, and soon to be, fingers crossed, repeat back-to-back USL League One champions, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show. We'll break that down as well. But before any of that, I saw a news story that, sometimes you like Saturday Night Live couldn't write the way that real life works out sometimes. In Cincinnati, Ohio, sports gambling has just become legal. Has just become legal, as has casino gambling, okay? They just approved casino gambling, and the Cincinnati Hard Rock Casino has opened to the public in Ohio. And a number of celebrities were there this weekend in order to break in the new casino and place the first bet. Drew Lachey of 98 Degrees was there. Bootsy Collins from Parliament Funkadelic was there. Former Cincinnati Reds catcher Tucker Bernhardt was there. Earth, Wind, and Fire was there. All folks with connections to the area. And the first legalized bet in this casino, Lonzo, in Cincinnati, Ohio, was made by Pete Rose. Beautiful job. Well done, Pete. Well done. Pete Rose was like, if y'all ain't going to let me in, I'm just going to lean into it. I'm out for gambling. So might as well gamble.
You're making it sound like he's never gambled again since that whole thing happened.
Oh no, he absolutely has.
Yeah. So I find it kind of funny.
Hey, it's great. Trust me, this is me giving props.
I'm still trying to figure out what the heck was Drew Lachey doing there. All those other guys I get, but it's just like one of these things is not like the other. Anyway.
Are you insinuating that 98 Degrees isn't on your Spotify playlist, though?
I'm not only am I insinuating, I am saying absolutely 98 Degrees is not on my Spotify.
It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, to turn around and walk away pretending I don't love you.
Is that a lyric?
It's a 98 Degrees song, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So you didn't put your keys upon the table. Why'd you put your keys upon the table? I'm saying, is he like, what?
Look, I know the song. I just don't know the lyrics. It's just, that's all I knew. Lonzo starts playing that song, and I'm like, pretty sure I know this song. Lonzo's like, put your keys up on the little, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Had no idea that's what he said. And I think I think
Well, you dropped.
By the way, I just gave Pete Rose credit. Okay, I just gave Pete Rose credit for steering into the curve, as they say, and making the first bet at the Hard Rock Casino in Cincinnati. You know, that place he did the gambling that got him in trouble, right? But I have to immediately deduct the points back, Zoe, because in order to break in the Hard Rock Casino, they had Pete Rose break a guitar on stage, and I thought he was going to go old JEFFJARREGGT on it. Dang, I almost got through that. This is how he broke the guitar, Lonzo. I got to give him like a solid D- on this effort, right? That's what he managed. Come on, Pete. Come on, Pete.
How old is Pete Rose? Give him a little bit of credit. He's like 79 or something. I mean, come on.
Pete Rose steering into the turn there. I'm still out for gambling. That's cool. First bet in Ohio. Beautiful job, Pete. Beautiful job.
Pete is 80 years old.
All right. Do you understand how hard it is for me to avoid saying boat for the rest of the show? Thank you, texters, for sending me 50 texts about boats. And I can't read any of them. Not because they're bad or unreadable, but because Lonzo's got me in my own head now. When we come back, yes, the Panthers should tank this year. And I'll tell you why. That's next on The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. South Carolina quarterback Jason Brown just followed me on Twitter.
Cool. You're there with me, Josh. Except for I didn't know the lead singer. His name was Serge, but that makes it even better. You're like, what are you talking about? Look at the stream when you get a moment.
Load the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. For ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
For the Rob Brown Show,
Sports is supposed to go to have a good time with everybody else. We may disagree on politics, on religion, on worldviews of every type, but we all come together to love football together. The show is supposed to be your break from real life. When you clock out and sit in the break room and knock down your microwave pizza for lunch before you got to go back on the clock, do whatever you got to do, Lonzo and I want you to laugh at sentences like, those guys might lose a groin, all right? We're just having fun. That's the point. That's what we do. That's what the show is. That's how the show is structured from the beginning. It remains today. That's how the show's going to stay into the foreseeable future. So, to the texter who said, you're too much, you're obnoxious, you're over the top, I will acknowledge to you that for many people, I absolutely am. And that's okay.
Yeah, and boats. There.
Saturday night at 6:30 on your home for the best games in college football. ESPN Upstate.
for an official Rob Brown lockdown. Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show, only on ESPN.
Texter says, Rob, 98 Degrees wouldn't even make a top 10 boy band ranking. Glad my listening audience has hot early 2000s boy band takes. I'm here for it. The pecking order is 1, NSYNC, 2, New Kids on the Block, 3, Backstreet Boys, 4, Nobody Else Matters. Unless, are we going to count Boys to Men as a boy band?
No, you can't do that. It's a vocal group.
It's an R&B group, right?
Yeah.
Although, for the record, none of them are boy bands. They're all boy groups.
Well, someone labeled them that. I don't know who came up with that. They obviously
It's not the right term.
had no idea what they were talking about, but it stuck. So I'm trying to remember who. There was a boy band that someone said you look like the lead singer from, and I can't remember who.
Me?
Yeah. We were somewhere. Who's saying I'm going to sex you up?
Oh man. Color Me Bad.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it was. That's what it was. I've just completely tanked this segment of the show, and we haven't even started it. All right. Speaking of tanking, #segue. That's why we win awards, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we win awards. Yes, the Panthers should.
I would have gave you full on applause, but we don't have the budget.
I appreciate it.
We just don't have the budget.
Yeah, no, we can't afford. You know what? I'm making an applause track after the show's over. Why not? Let's put it in the stinger rotation. Yeah. So, anyway, speaking of tanking, I tanked my own segue about tanking. Yes, the Panthers should tank the rest of the season. They should absolutely tank this season. How do you not? Texter says, wow, leaving my... And all of these boy band texts are from different texters, y'all. Texter says, wow, leaving Menudo and LFO off the list. Wow, LFO.
What is LFO?
LFO was the band that sang that Summer Girl song. Summer girls come and summer girls go. Some are so fine and some are so-so.
Yeah, it's no. But, you can blame that on my age if you want. I don't know. I do know the Menudo, though.
I like it when the girls stop by in the summer. I like girls that wear Abercrombie and Fitch. I hate me. All right, take the season, Panthers. Stop it, texters. Stop sending me boy band text. Stop.
Yeah,
right now.
That's gonna work. Yeah, you tell.
Captain of this vessel, get your boat together. What is happening today? All right, stop it right now.
Captain, my captain, let's talk about the Panthers.
Texter says, I like girls who wear Abercrombie and Fitch tank tops. Speaking of tanks, hey, leave this to the professionals, please, Texter. All right? Clearly, that's what we are. Tank the season, Panthers. It's time. All right? It's time. Let's say you win 3 games. Let's say you win 4 games. Let's say you win 5 more games. Let's say you get to 5 more wins. What good does it do you? What good does it do you? Darnold's out with a busted up shoulder blade. All right. Texter says, kiss this segment. Bye, bye, bye.
Finally, a reference I got.
Wait, you have a daughter who's my age. How do you not know boy?
She is not your age. Dude,
how old is she? She's younger than me, but not by much.
23.
She's that young?
I'm not that old.
No. I'm saying, like, I've had conversations with your daughter. She's way more intelligent than a average 23-year-old.
So my entire family's smarter than me. What does that matter? My son's an engineer. My wife.
Oh man, off the rails. Okay, I promise. Woosah. All right, listen. Take the season. Darnold's done for, quote, several weeks, end quote, according to NFL Network, with an incomplete fracture of his shoulder blade. All right, so he's out. PJ Walker is your starting quarterback. And at a moment when you think to yourself, hey, this is a moment that maybe the Panthers go out and find a quarterback. Maybe they go out, they find the guy who's going to replace Darnold. They end up with Matt Barkley. Yes, that Matt Barkley, former USC Matt Barkley. Guy who's been on like 112 different NFL teams, Matt Barkley. That's the guy they go get to back up PJ Walker, which says to me, Lonzo, they're not really all that invested in winning. Now, in fairness, the other side of that coin is who do you get, right? Like, who do you get? Who's the guy? Matt Barkley's a practice squad quarterback and has been basically his entire career. 19 games played. He's got 11 TDs and 22 interceptions.
There's a guy who set rookie records who, has been an MVP, a Super Bowl quarterback, and also is kind of familiar with the area who's available. Not on a team right now.
My goodness gracious, who are you talking about?
That would be Cameron Newton.
Yeah, we had a texter say that yesterday too. Ain't gonna happen.
I know it's not gonna happen, but because of what it would cause as far as you bring the ex-starter back, then immediately you got to deal with, he needs to be in there instead of Sam Darnold.
Well, here's the thing.
But if you want to put butts in seats and have the homecoming. Have the homecoming. If you're going to tank, as you said, and obviously Cam Newton's washed up because there's a reason why he's no longer in the NFL.
All right, couple of things that I want to respond to there. First and foremost, don't hit me with the can't sell seats, because as we had Rashad Beard on a couple of weeks ago after the Philly game, what was the thing Rashad was mad about?
Rashad's too close to the situation. He's right. But
he's a fan. That's exactly what we're talking about.
He's too close to the situation. He's
exactly who we're talking about. All right, let me take a step back. I'll do it from my perspective. I ain't a fan of the Panthers. I'm a fan of them doing well because it makes me money, but I ain't a fan of the Panthers. Right? So, I'll do it. I was watching that Carolina-Philly game. You remember when the Panthers started 3-0 and the fans were all up in my DMs trying to tell me, Rob, forget your 500. We're winning the division, baby. Remember that? I do. Don't worry, tweeters. I saved the receipts. When I told y'all 500 to be a good year, and you came at me after 3-0 and went, nope, we're beating Philly, we're beating New York, we're beating Dallas, we're beating everybody. We're in the playoff. Remember? Because I do. I saved your tweets. See you for week 18. Now, the fans, I'm sorry to say, and this is something that if I could change anything about Carolina, this would be it. From what I understand about the Panthers, it's a social scene, not a football game. It's a social scene. I heard the Eagles' chants of defense over the Panthers in their own stadium.
So loudmouths from Philadelphia is news. I mean, they're louder than everybody else. You been to Pennsylvania? They're
oh, no, I look.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like Eagles fans.
There's some loud people there.
I don't like Eagles fans. I went to a Philly New Orleans game in New Orleans a number of years ago. So Philly fans have got to be the rudest group of people on planet Earth. And the thing is, they revel in it, right? Like if you tell somebody, hey, Lonzo, you're being rude, you would hope that there would be some element of self-actualization and perhaps shame. You tell an Eagle fan they're being rude, you know what they say? Thank you. You jerk. That's what they tell you because they're terrible. Anyway, Carolina fans aren't going to games anyway. We just got to be honest with each other here. Panthers fans, y'all don't show up. You just don't.
Well,
I hope that changes, but you don't.
I don't want to. I don't know what the current laws are as far as what you have to get in the stadium, and that might factor into because North Carolina's laws are a little bit different than South Carolina, and maybe there's some people not going to the stadium because of that.
Don't accept it. And another NFL team that I have seen struggle with the exception of Atlanta. Even bad teams are being more vocal than Panthers fans. But to bring this back to Cam Newton. First off, and I like Cam. I want to be abundantly clear. I like Cam. I'm pulling for Cam. I hope Cam finds a spot.
I like Cam so much that I rooted for New England for one season.
You told me that last year.
That was hard for me.
Yeah.
It really was.
I like Cam. I'm pulling for Cam. There's a part of me as a Saints fan, I'm hoping Sean Payton's on the phone with Cam. Here's what I want to happen. Odell signs with the Saints today. Cam Newton signs with the Saints tomorrow. That team's reinvigorated. I hope. I like Cam. But if we're going to be 100% honest, as Lonzo and I always are on this show, right? Cam wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he?
He does. And that's been a detriment to him in certain circles because some people don't like that.
Don't disagree. Do you think if Matt Rule got on the phone today and said, Cam, sorry about what happened. Sorry we cut you loose for Teddy Bridgewater. Sorry we moved on. We'd really like to extend the olive branch and have you come back to Carolina. You think Cam's taking that? I don't. Not for a second. Not for a second is Cam doing that.
See, and I think he would. And here's the reason why I think he would. Because there's a certain amount of, you were right. I was wrong. You should have stayed here. I'm sorry. It's going back. It's going back to say, see, you guys did need me.
Quick time out. I wouldn't say Matt Rule was right. You think Sam Darnold, you think Teddy Bridgewater?
It's perception. It is perception. It is perception from the fans.
Perception's right to Cam Newton. I don't care about the fans. Does Cam Newton agree that Teddy Bridgewater was a better option last year in Carolina than he was?
No.
Correct.
That the Panthers made a mistake.
Yeah.
And
you're extending the olive branch to the X.
Right.
And the good news is the X is still single. The X hasn't upgraded yet.
And there, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a little bit of ego there. You may not have noticed. That was sarcasm.
Okay.
So you can. You don't have to say anything.
I suspect Cam is not signed less because Cam doesn't have opportunity and more because Cam is waiting to pick a spot. All right. There's some teams that are going to take a flyer on that guy. And I told you which one I'm looking at right now. Now, the other option, the other thing that's on the table that we have to break down and be honest about here is this. Y'all put a lot of money into Sam Darnold. A lot of money into Sam Darnold. You don't have that opportunity here. You don't have that option here to go get a big-time quarterback. You have backed yourself into a corner where your only option is to ride it out at this point. You have painted yourself into a corner. You have to ride it out with Darnold now. You don't have to like it, but you do. To your deal, you got to ride it out with him. You don't have the money to bring in a kid. Why do you think Matt Barkley's showing up? Because nobody was better available than the Tennessee Titans' fourth best quarterback? Nobody but practice squad Bark was available? No, it's because you're limited by the purse strings, and he was the cheapest cat you could bring in. That's why. You have to ride out Darnold. So if you have to ride out Darnold, and you know, as most Panther fans have seemed to tell me so far, that you are going to move on from Darnold at the first available movement, which is fine. I still think we can see improvement, but I also know I'm an optimist. If you're going to ride out of Darnold, you're going to move on from him. Then the correct response, Lonzo, in a draft class next year that is very mediocre when it comes to quarterbacks coming out, very mediocre. The best thing you can do is get yourself as high of a draft pick as you can get, because either A, it sets you up to draft a QB, or B, it sets you up to move up into the top 1, 2, or 3 to get one of the only couple of quarterbacks that might be good next year to train under Darnold for a year. That's the options. There are no other ones. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, John Harkes, head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champion Greenville Triumph, join us. Texter says this Darnold thing is horrible. Now my Sundays of betting on how many INTs he throws are going to be over. Another texter says, Sean, proud Eagles fan here. Oh, sorry, Sean. I didn't mean to offend you. Although Eagles fans take it as a compliment. I like you, Sean. P1. Texter says, Panda, Carolina tanking? Ain't nothing but a heartbreak. Tell me why. Another texter says, we will get through this segment step by step. Another texter says, more boy band segments. I want it that way. Another texter says, I wish Matt Rule would quit playing games with my heart. I'm done. John Harkes is next.
Of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information. Rate for that. Call Dr. Preventive Damage.
college football, Goodyear knows the new season means new possibilities. Every Saturday is an opportunity.
I'm getting voicemail.
No matter if
Ringing?
you're playing your hardest,
No, just voicemail. It
or
won't even
on
want.
the sidelines, tailgating in the parking lot, or your favorite spot to watch the game. Goodyear knows passion is what drives us forward all the way to the playoffs. That's the road that moves us. Goodyear, more driven.
'Twas the season of cheer and joy filled the town, except for Scrooge with his permanent frown. The gift of a Peloton bike touched his soul without doubt.
Work, Peloton.
When your workout's a joy, it's a joy to work out.
You can do it.
The original Peloton bike with our best price ever, $39 a month. All access membership separate. Terms apply. See website for details.
More than the scores, the ups and downs.
All right, we're efforting Coach John Harkes, head coach of your Greenville Triumph. We are working on getting him lined up here as we talk Triumph football every single Wednesday at 1:20 through, and hopefully, if we got a couple of weeks to celebrate a USL League One championship, we'll talk about it a couple weeks after as well. But we'll be joined here. I believe we've got him on the line, so we'll get Coach Harkes up here in just a second. Remember, the Triumph at home Saturday night, 7 o'clock, taking on the Red Wolves of Chattanooga in the USL League One championship semifinal. A win would move them 90 minutes closer to going back to back. And are we good, Zoe? I think we're good. Head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed USL League One champions, Coach John Harkes, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Coach, welcome back, man. How's life, my friend?
Hey, I'm good, Rob. Thank you so much for having me on. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Yeah, great to be on.
Love to have it. Love to have it. And, hey, man, loosey-goosey, right? No pressure, no nothing. It's only the USL League One playoffs. You guys have been here, done that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we first playoff game, though, in history that we'll be hosting at home, which is fantastic. And I'm looking forward to that Saturday night. And looking forward to, a big challenge against Chattanooga, obviously. A team that's, is going to bring, 100% effort. They love to disrupt play. They're very good in the final third. They attack well. So, yeah, it's going to be a big game. And, we've had a big core fan base all year long, push us through the good times, the bad times, and the indifferent times. And, right now, the guys are on a high, good confidence right now. And, I'm looking forward to having that core fan base and people pushing us on Saturday night at home at Triumph Stadium at Legacy Early College. It'll be fantastic. Looking forward to it.
So season long, Coach. I mean, we've had you on a number of times during the season, and one of the things you guys stressed was being able to fight through the adversity. A handful of slow weeks right in the middle of the season. The last couple of weeks has been getting back up to full strength, getting guys trained up, getting the fitness back to be at your best. Talk to me about the bounce back from that middle part of the season where there were some concerns to not only making it into the USL League One playoffs, but climbing up to number 2 in the table and getting to host the semifinals in the Ville.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, Rob, it's just more of that self-belief, even when, you're not getting the results. And as you go through that adversity, it's about like, okay, how do we self-reflect? How do we check ourselves? What are we doing well? What can we do better? As coaching staff, what can we present to the guys and make sure we're doing open communication? But it's about teammates. It's about team first mentality, and the sacrifices for each other. There's a great quote from C.S. Lewis that says, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. So, you got to think of the players. You got to think of your teammates. And the more that we do that, the more that they buy in and fight for each other, the better that's, going to be. And it's also about, you're looking for advantages as you go into the postseason. What's the advantage for us? Well, that we are strong together and that we've gotten through this in the summer months when we weren't getting the results. We weren't scoring the goals. We were losing games, and everybody goes through it. in a season. It's a process. And you always try to teach the guys a big picture that at the end of it, we're going to come good. Don't worry. Trust the talent levels, trust in yourselves and what we're doing application-wise, and we'll get there. So now it's about taking the game plan, the tactical shape that we've worked on throughout the week and executing it on Saturday night. So you got to show up on the day. And we want to make sure that we do our job right and keep it balanced, making sure that they've enjoyed the process to get here and go out and play with confidence.
John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph, as they get set for a Saturday night matchup against Chattanooga in the USL League One Championship semifinals. And coach, the kind of motto of this team and really the organization and the fans that have backed it is together we triumph. We see that across all the tweets, etc. I don't know if there's a more applicable slogan for this team, because it's like every time I have one of your guys on, whether it's Aaron or Marios or Dallas or Paul, every one of those guys tends to answer questions by talking about their teammates, by talking about the team mentality and the rest of the guys around them in that locker room. How important has that been to the success of this season?
It's been fantastic, and I think it's huge. It's a great point you bring up. We're always talking about the collective. It's about what's next to you, staff, players, how we push each other. The run that we went on towards the end of the season doesn't happen unless guys start to have that drive. They want to be competitive, but at the same time, it's more about, carrying the momentum and making sure that we're believing each other around the dressing room, on the training field, as we go to appearances, as we go to the game situations at the stadiums. It's more about just believing in each other. So the way we've done it is that we set the culture every day. Here's the expectations. We put the demands on each other to be better. We hold each other accountable all the time, and there's good communication there. So the minute that we switch that off, we're in trouble. We really are. But carrying that momentum forward, what we've done in the last 9 games of the season has been nothing short of remarkable. And it's an honor to coach these guys. They're fantastic. It's such a great group, and they have the resilience. But like I said, people are talking about the Coach of the Month award, congratulating me. I'm like, this is a collective award. It's just staff, players, everybody pushing together. To go through the good times and the bad times. So we want to carry it forward, and we've got a great opportunity on Saturday night. It is not going to be easy. It's a difficult game. They're always a difficult team to play against in Chattanooga, but we want to make sure that we come out on top at the end of that 90-plus minutes.
Talk to me about that upcoming 90-plus minutes at home Saturday night. I mean, the last game at home felt to me like maybe the most energetic and electric Triumph game of the season from Section 110 and from the sidelines, but no more important game than this one. This is a Chattanooga team that you guys are familiar with, second to last opponent of the season, one that you guys have had a couple of scraps with this year. How do you approach a game you're going to get their best and make sure that you guys give yourself every advantage to where every chance to win at home?
Yeah, it's about preparation, Rob. The details, that work that we put in every day, and making sure that there's, you check for understanding. Everybody understands what our game plan is, what our tactics are. And then it's about guys just showing up on the night, making sure you win your one-on-one battles and stuff like that. Now, you don't know what's going to happen. I think there's always a good feeling. There's a positive energy that's within this group, and we always push on and be hopeful, and we're optimistic, but you never know. You never know. At the end of the day, I'm proud of these guys no matter what we do Saturday night. But yeah, of course, the plan is to go out and win. And instilling that confidence in these guys on a daily basis, what we're doing here every day is it's working because they believe in it. And there's challenges. You got to embrace those challenges, but the way you persevere all the way to the finish line, that's what we've got to do. And we've got great opportunity here coming at home, our first playoff game. And we don't want to leave it short. We want to finish it out and apply ourselves and execute on Saturday night so that we're doing this again the following week. And that's what we're looking forward to.
John Harkes is the head coach of the Greenville Triumph as they get set for a Saturday nighter at home. Legacy Early College, 7 o'clock, taking on the Chattanooga Red Wolves. Can you talk to me a little bit about the fitness of this club? I had a conversation with Noah Pilato a few days ago. I know he is one of the guys that has just been making his way back and is really focused on that. But you guys have kind of been dealing with injuries on and off all season long. What's the fitness of this club heading into Saturday night?
It's actually pretty healthy right now. You talk about Noah, he's been out for 4.5 months. Lachlan McLean was out 3 months at one particular time. We had 16 guys out of 20 field players actually injured during the season this year. And it wasn't anything specific like chronic, like loading or work that we're giving these guys that lends itself to that. So look, now it's at a point where the daily focus is on us getting healthy, and that there's competition for places now, and that we have a little bit more depth within our bench and guys coming off the field. Onto the field can actually make a difference and impact the game in a positive way. So it's good. We've got a couple of Will Mejia got a little bit of an ankle roll injury last weekend in an inter-squad scrimmage that we did. But right now, I think everyone's pushing forward. So hopefully we get that right. And, we want to stay healthy as much as we can to finish out the semifinal on Saturday night and hopefully in the final for the following week.
John Harkes, head coach of the Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. What's the focus for this game, Coach? What are we concentrating on? I know at the end of the day, it's go out there and play the best 90 minutes you've played this season. But is there any different approach to this game with the, do or die, lose or go home mentality behind it?
Yeah, I think it's team and servant kind of leadership with our teammates, and I think we, from a tactical approach, we've got some great plans that we're putting out for them. Everybody's on board with it, which is fantastic. And now it's just about applying it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be this. Enjoy your process, enjoy the work you put into it, and honor it. Making sure that you don't leave it on the training ground. If you can take that over into the game situation, timing's everything. You don't want to peak too early. You want to make sure you're peaking right when that first whistle goes. And we want to get after this team, right from the start. We want to get after Chattanooga. So we're hoping to do that. That's the plan. You've got to be able to adapt it at certain times when the game, is going in a different direction. Can you recognize that and can you adapt to it right away and figure that out? So we have some pretty intelligent guys here on this group, and looking forward to the game Saturday night.
Love to hear it. And Coach, last question, I'll let you go. I know you've got a ton to get ready for as we head towards Saturday night. I've asked you this question before, and it seems like if you've done sports for a long time, you know the obvious answer. But for a do-or-die game like this, with the guys facing down the toughest challenge they faced so far, we're trying to get Legacy sold out on Saturday. How important is it to have the fan sections there behind you guys filled up and energetic for this game?
Oh, it's huge. It's massive. They've been fantastic so far throughout the whole year. And as we get back to full capacity and everything, last weekend we were away at North Carolina FC. We had a lot of traveling supporters go up there. But the week before that was at home, and it was a sellout. And we want the same. We want to sell out. We want to hear them loud and proud, and we want to make sure that we're pushing forward. So, we appreciate it. They've been there for us all year long, and we need them more than ever on Saturday night.
Love to hear it. Coach John Harkes is the head coach of your reigning, defending, undisputed League One champion Greenville Triumph. Saturday night, they are back home at Legacy Early College taking on Chattanooga Red Wolves. A win in that matchup would send them on to the USL League One finals. Coach, good luck on Saturday night. Pulling for the boys. We will see you at Legacy Early. Wish you the best of luck, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate platform and supporting us as well. We really, it goes a long way with our team. So thanks so much. Great to speak to you as always. Take care.
You got it. That's Coach John Harkes. It's a lot of people don't know this, Lonzo, and this is one of my favorite things whenever we have a conversation about this. John Harkes was on the U.S. men's national team during one of the most successful runs they ever had back in the mid-'90s. The guy has played MLS. The guy has played Premier. The guy has played international soccer. He has played in World Cups. The Greenville Triumph, very, very lucky to have one of the most brilliant young soccer minds. It would not surprise me down the road to see John Harkes coaching on some of the biggest stages in the world. But right now, He is focused on Saturday night taking on Chattanooga Red Wolves. Again, a win would put the boys in the USL League One Championship Finals, which would be enormous. We'll have that full game breakdown on Friday. And then, of course, we will hopefully be talking about a victory on Monday. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a moment from now, Odell Beckham has apparently narrowed down his list of potential teams to sign with to 4. Why? Nobody claimed him on waivers. Not a team in the league claimed him on waivers. Is there a reason behind that? And if so, would you want him on your team? We'll address that next on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. I made a meme, Lonzo.
I saw.
See my meme? It's a good meme.
Well done.
Officially being released by the Browns on Monday, he does want to spend the rest of this season with a playoff contender and in a winning environment. Mike White will remain the Jets starting quarterback for Sunday's home game against the Bills, rookie Sam Wilson's knee injury a factor in the decision, according to Coach Robert Saleh. White has given the offensive spark starting the last 2 games in place of the injury.
All right, in this top 10 list, BTS makes the list. They've been around long enough to make the boy band list.
They're arguably the most global act.
True.
Global boy band act of all time, no doubt.
They also put the Osmonds in there.
It's not a boy band. There was women in the Osmonds. That's not
No.
Wasn't Maria? Oh, no.
No, she wasn't.
It wasn't the whole family? I don't know anything about the Osmonds other than Donnie and Marie
well,
have a very
you're not,
weird relationship.
Yeah, no. Donnie and Marie had their own show later, but the original show was the Osmond brothers, and they had hits and stuff. And they also play their instruments. So
a band.
Yeah, so they actually are a boy band. So they have the Osmonds at number 10, BTS number 9, Menudo 8, One Direction 7, New Kids 6, New Edition 5.
NSYNC was like the Cavs with LeBron. BSB was like the Warriors. Wait, what was the topic again?
NSYNC 4. I am sorry. New Edition is better than NSYNC.
No.
Without a doubt.
No.
Boys to Men, better than both of them. But so they're ranked 3rd. So that's fine. But Boys to Men is better than Backstreet Boys too.
Boys to Men is number 1 on my list. Hands down.
If you count Jackson 5 as a boy band, I don't see how any of those bands are better than them. And this comes down to an age thing.
Maybe.
And admittedly, there are some boy band stuff that I just don't have a clue about because it just not,
Charging and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
Why is Andy Reid trending? Please be okay. Okay. All right. You have a Harley Davidson spot in the next break.
Already.
Just like in football, there's nothing like that one perfectly timed addition to get your team off and running. That's where LinkedIn steps in. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 770 million professionals to find the right people for your role. Then their filtering and prioritization tools help you narrow down to just the most qualified candidates for you. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn #1 in increasing the quality of hire versus leading competitors. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/sports. That's linkedin.com/sports.
Call 844 GSP ESPN. Text Keyword.
So ESPN is reporting that Odell Beckham Jr. has narrowed his list of potential teams down to 3. 2 of them represented on this radio show, ladies and gentlemen, as the list appears to be, according to ESPN, the list appears to be the Packers of Green Bay, the Chiefs of Kansas City, and the Saints of New Orleans as the 3 potential landing spots that Odell Beckham Jr. would be willing to sign a contract for. Now, Odell cleared waivers, right? When he was cut by the Browns, he went on the waiver wire. 32 teams in number 1 through 32 from worst to first had the right to claim Odell Beckham Jr., starting with the 0-8 Detroit Lions.
Yeah, but if they claimed him, they would have to claim his salary. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense because you get to renegotiate his contract if you're a free agent. And basically, the teams would have looked and went, I don't think anybody on the waiver wire is going to pick him up at what he's at now. In fact, the rumor coming out, Zoe, is that the Green Bay Packers have made an offer to Odell Beckham Jr. for the league minimum. For the league minimum, which is are you okay over there, man?
Look at Twitter. I get where Panda just did something.
Oh God, I'm now terrified.
Did you see it?
Thank you, Panda. Thank you for making Lonzo's day.
It works.
Twitter.com/.
It really does work.
I'll retweet it.
Yeah, it works.
I'll retweet it. All right. So Odell clear waivers. The Packers have apparently, according to ESPN, offered him, Lonzo, the NFL league veteran minimum contract. I want to say, I don't know what off the top of my head. It's like $565,000 for the rest of the year, right? And likely would have an option to resign him next year. Do not know what the Chiefs have offered, if they have. Do not know what the Saints have offered, if they have, or if they have at all, right? So, the question that I have to lead off with is, Lonzo, did he clear waivers because they would have to pick up a chunk of his contract that they would not be responsible for if they signed him? Or did anybody not sign him on waivers because they're afraid of Odell Beckham Jr. going, Odell Beckham Jr. on him?
Yeah, well, either fighting, props on the sidelines or wanting to fight other players or deciding I'm not happy here. I want to go somewhere else, which he's done the last couple places he's been. That has to factor in, doesn't it? Of course, when you're thinking of bringing in a player of his stature, you got to factor in salary, you got to factor in attitude, you got to factor in age, and does he still have productivity? Will he be a detriment to the team? Will he be an addition to the team? There's so many things, and a lot of it's unknown as far as Odell goes right now. I mean, he's been playing for Cleveland, but he hasn't really been targeted very much. And is that because, as some people are saying, that it's the rift between he and the quarterback, or is it he just wasn't getting open?
So Odell's dad sent out a tweet that put up a couple of pictures, a couple of videos from game film where he says that Odell was open and Bake just didn't throw him the rock, right? Now, on one hand, maybe he's right. Maybe Big Bex is correct. Maybe Odell was open and Bakes just doesn't like him. On the other hand, maybe he's not open very often, so Baker just kind of quick glanced him, and if he wasn't immediately open, didn't throw it to him, right?
Well, according to a lot of people, Baker Mayfield is the problem with Cleveland. He's not a very good quarterback.
Yeah, how'd that go this weekend?
Yeah, he's not a very good quarterback, so he probably, he eyes one receiver and never checks down, and so that's the reason why. Mm-hmm. It's all because he's just not that good.
Yeah, they only beat the Bengals 41-6 this weekend. NBD, right? Baker 14 of 21, 218 and 2 touchdowns coming off an injury. But he was the problem. Sure. Big Bex, he was the problem.
If you recall, when we talked about this game, I said they'd have a big game and they'd play better without Odell Beckham, because when there's a cloud, if you're at work and there's a cloud over everything because of one person, and that person calls in sick one day, the mood is better. it seems to be that this is the case with Cleveland. So if you are Cleveland played when the dude left, do we want to bring that cloud to our team?
And that's what I was going to ask the great one. Do you want Odell on the Chiefs?
No, I do not.
Really? Not at all.
Well, we already have several receivers who won't catch the ball. Why would we add another one? just so that Kelsey and all the other guys just ain't catching the ball.
At least he's honest. I'll take him in New Orleans. I would. I'll take him in New Orleans. 2 reasons. 1, Mike Thomas ain't coming back this year. Announced last week that he had a setback in recovery from his ankle. 2, I don't know how much longer Mike Thomas is a Saint, because the reason Michael Thomas is out this year is because last year after the ankle injury, which he played on, and I respect it, Drew Brees' final season, Mike Thomas played hurt all year because he knew that he wanted to send Drew Brees out with a Super Bowl, so he was going to gut it out. The offseason got there. The Saints said, we want you to have this surgery on this time frame. And Mike said, no, I'm good. I got this, y'all. I'm going to take care of it myself. And the Saints went, all right. And then he didn't do that the right way. And now he's out for the year. I would take it because I don't think the relationship between Mike Thomas and the Saints is that good right now. Second off, whether the fans like him or not is irrelevant. Odell Beckham Jr., with the exception of New York and Cleveland, is a pretty well-liked dude by the NFL, right? How many players did we see this weekend on fields that had nothing to do with the Browns-Bengals game wearing sweatshirts and hoodies that said #FreeOdell, which we've seen a lot of?
Yeah, but that's just a trend, a fad. You know, everybody else is saying it, so let me jump into it. I also want to point out that if I come to the Chiefs, I will root for him. I rooted for Elvis Gerback. I can root for anybody.
Elvis Gerback.
Yes.
What a throw Gerback reference from Lonzo. I love it. I love it.
But I don't think he's going to be on either of our teams.
I got to tell you, of those 3, and knowing that the Packers offered him a league vet minimum, it's either going to be the Packers or the Saints. All right. I think Odell wants. I think there's a chance Odell will want to go back to Louisiana because remember, he's an LSU guy, right? Like he's got a fan base built in there. And Odell, there are 2 things that are important. Number 1, being on a contender, and number 2, being loved. Being loved. I think that's part of the reason the relationship went sour with Cleveland. It's because he wasn't really featured as the dude there.
Well, I saw some headlines. I didn't read the entire article, but it looks like Andy Reid said, well, Scott Veach is always has an eye out for talent and additions to the team. What's that say?
Oh, yeah, listen.
If you just say that, you're not being very specific about the player. You're just, it's not, we'd love to have a.
That's the coach thing.
Actually, they're probably not allowed to say that, are they?
Right, no.
Because that's
can't.
tampering.
But
yeah.
that's the same thing. Pete Carroll of the Seahawks, before Odell cleared waivers, and somebody asked the Seahawks, we all pick him up on waivers. He was like, well, we're always in the market for new talent. You'll see. Just wait. You'll see. That's what coaches do. Everybody throws up as many smoke screens as they can throw up. I think he ends up in either Green Bay or New Orleans, right? In Green Bay, he's on the contender. In New Orleans, he's the dude. If he shows up in New Orleans, he's the best receiver on that roster today. Now, Texter says, who's going to throw him the ball in New Orleans? It's a great question. Trevor Siemian was better last week than the numbers show. As a Saints fan who is depressed about this year, Trevor Siemian was better than the numbers showed. He had 3 guys drop 20 to 25 plus yard passes that hit him in the hands. 3 different drops of 20 plus yards. He should have had 80 to 100 yards more passing yards than he did, and probably 1 more touchdown. And he led the Saints back from an 18-point deficit to nearly knocking off, granted, the Falcons, but winning that game from 18 down. But if Odell shows up, Lonzo, I'm on the phone. Hey, Mr. Newton, the offense is designed for Jameis Winston. We can fit you in. And you got Odell and Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram and the 5th or 6th best offensive line in football. Lonzo, if the Saints landed Odell and then could talk Cam in there, I got to think they jump up to like 3rd or 4th on the money line to win the NFC, like right off the bat. They're behind LA. They're behind Arizona. They're behind Dallas. They're behind Green Bay.
That's an awful lot of ego.
Tell me I'm wrong, though.
Oh, you're right. If they can coexist.
There you go. There you go. All right, when we come back, right before we jump out for the end of this hour, a very interesting poll just went up on ESPN. It's got 25,500 votes. Who should be the number 4 team in the college football playoff poll? Let's see what the general public has to say on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Harley-Davidson of Greenville is your home if you are a writer in the Upstate. I've been telling you guys since I moved here, one of the first things that I did when I got here was start looking for places to ride around the Upstate. And, I asked people who lived here that have motorcycles. I've made a couple of friends that ride, and everybody's got, it's this ride or it's that ride, and got their one. First time I got to go talk to Harley-Davidson of Greenville, what blew me away, besides their attention to detail around the entire store, was the first time I sat down with the folks who work at Harley. And they said, oh, you ride? Yeah. Where have you been? I said, I've been on the Blue Ridge. And they said, oh, okay. And then they just started saying, you got to go here, you got to go here, take this road, that highway, this interstate, go there, see this, do that. These people know the entire atmosphere and culture behind riding around the Upstate, the Palmetto State, North Carolina, South Carolina. Their lives are a part of that culture. You're not just buying a bike and being done. You are getting into the Harley-Davidson of Greenville family. They know the bikes that they work on in and out, left and right, up and down. You're going to get the best service on that bike to make it last as long as you want it to. They know how to trick those bikes out so the bike you want is the bike you'll get customized down to the neatest little details that you want to add. And from that point forward, they do group rides. They do sessions to teach you things about your bike. If you're a brand new rider, they will teach you how to ride from start to finish. That is the type of atmosphere and environment that you will be a part of when you become a member of the Harley-Davidson of Greenville family. Go to 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville, 30 Chrome Drive, or check out the entire inventory online at upstateharley.com. Upstateharley.com. It's Harley-Davidson of Greenville.
Here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Mostly sunny skies this afternoon, high of 76. Tonight, increasing clouds, low 49. Thursday, chance for rain showers, cloudy, high of 65. And Friday, high 67 for the weekend. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Buchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 78.
Sunday on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL, it's a Week 10 matchup from Dallas as the Cowboys host the Atlanta Falcons. Hi, this is Kevin Figures. Join Jerry Recco, Danny White, and myself for all the action as the NFC East leading Cowboys look to bounce back after a tough loss, but Matt Ryan and the Falcons are eager to make it 2 wins in a row. It's the Cowboys and the Falcons. If it's the NFL, it's right here. Sunday afternoon at 12:30. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Nothing goes better with movie, game, or family night than a Moe's meal kit. Well, maybe our famous queso. But don't worry, it comes in every kit with your choice of premium proteins and fresh ingredients. Our nacho, taco, and fajita kits will silence even the pickiest of eaters. Plus, there's no dish duty. Because when you've had a hard day, Moe's meal kits make it an easy night. Order through Moe's.com or the Moe's app.
Spectrum Business is proud to support small businesses with the best internet and phone services at the best value. But we want to do more. So now, for a limited time, get 1 month of services for free. That's right, 1 month on us. Get 200 megabit per second internet and business phone, and even TV, all free for 1 month, plus free installation. Call 855-757-4544 or visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply.
This feature is sponsored by Indeed. Feeling overwhelmed because you need to hire for open roles? You need Indeed, the smart hiring platform that delivers 4 times more hires than all other sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Post a job and hire ASAP. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Restrictions may apply. Plans and costs for coverage may vary. Talk to Tech My Car for details. Look, money's tight for everyone right now. It's been a tough year, and you sure don't need to get hit with a big unexpected bill. Like, what if your car breaks down right now? How do you pay the bill? If it's your transmission, that's over $3,000. Your engine, up to $6,000. Even minor repairs like your air conditioning can hit your wallet hard. Here's the good news: if you're SUV that's $19.99 or newer, That's right. With Protect My Car, when your car breaks down, we pay your repair bill for you. Just dial 800-279-2827 on your mobile phone now to get started. Protect My Car pays for repairs to your engine, transmission, air conditioning, suspension, and so much more. Dial 800-279-2827 and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Dial 800-279-2827 on your mobile phone right now and get free roadside assistance, free towing, free car rental, and free oil changes. Dial 800-279-2827 and never pay for car repairs again. Dial 800-279-2827.
How many of you have pets? My hand's raised. Now think about how lucky you are to have such a sweet little pet in your life, and that pet is lucky to have you too. But unfortunately, there are countless pets out there that don't have a home to call their own. However, Bob's from Skechers is trying to change that. So we developed Bob's for dogs and cats to help pets in need. With every purchase of adorable Bob's footwear or fun stylish apparel, or even the cutest Bob's pet accessories, Skechers makes a donation to Petco Love to help save shelter pets. And with your help, we've already saved the lives of over 1 million pets and raised over $7 million. So while you're getting style and comfort with features like Skechers' famous memory foam, you're also helping to save an adorable pet in need and helping another lucky owner be connected with a future best friend and companion. Because happiness is having a
Should we challenge Panda to put me, you, Mark, and Diesel
on a full boy band? Oh, I like it.
Dude is really good at it.
He really is. That little app he uses is wild. The Rob Brown Show, wrapping up hour number 2. ESPN put up a very interesting poll on Twitter a few minutes ago. It's already got over 25,000 votes on it. They asked who should be the number 4 team in the college football playoff rankings. And the public answer may surprise you, or it may not. I don't know. We'll see when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. And you're listening to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association's best sports talk radio show in the state. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
It's a nice catch, by the way.
What's that?
Nice catch.
Oh, thanks. I practiced.
QC Kinetics in the first break.
Saturday as they're going to match up against UConn. They've got a non-conference game. They are going to be without sophomore offensive guard Paul Teo as he has entered the transfer portal. That is according to head coach Dabo Sweeney. Potentially some very bad news for Coastal Carolina football. They played without quarterback Grayson McCall this past weekend. And according to head coach Jamie Chongwell, they may not have him again this year. There is a possibility that the injury that he is currently dealing with could result in him missing the rest of the season. Coastal back at home coming up this Saturday when they are going to Georgia State. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
They believe that a fugitive of the U.S. Marshal Service's 15 most wanted list may have not only been at the game, but sat directly behind home plate on camera for the duration of the game. John Rufo is wanted by the Marshals because of his part in a $350 million bank fraud scam. Carmine Pascal, who is Rufo's cousin, told ABC7, quote, "I'm watching and there's Johnny."
Yo, Carmine,
Carmine!
I'm gonna be at the game.
You filthy rat, you backstabbing rat. Joe and Greer texted and says, "Tune into tomorrow's show where Carmine swims with the fishes."
Got some cement shoes for you.
Yeah, come on. Why don't we take a little boat ride, huh? We know it was you. We know you snitched, you dirty damn rat. Hope you can swim with concrete shoes on, Carmine.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show. Weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate. It's the NFL on Sports USA, and we're at historic Lambeau Field as the Green Bay Packers host the Seattle Seahawks. Rodgers and the Packers know how to get the job done with Jones, Cobb, and Devontae Adams.
Into the end zone. Touchdown, Green Bay.
The Hawks can fly downfield thanks to wideouts Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. It's Pac West versus Midwest. The Seahawks and the Packers.
Sunday afternoon at 4. The NFL plays here on ESPN Upstate.
Warning. Unofficial Rob Brown lockdown. Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app. Grab it, download it, put it on all your digital devices, and don't miss a moment of our award-winning broadcasting, the Rob Brown Show from noon to 3, Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel from 3 to 7 every afternoon right here on the Big Stick. I am Rob. He is Lonzo. You are you. Thanks for joining us. ESPN put up a poll earlier where they asked the voting public, with Georgia, Bama, and Oregon as the top 3, who would be your hashtag one final team in the college football playoff rankings? They put up as options Cincinnati, Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State. After 2 hours of voting, Lonzo, they have 26,152 votes. I'd say that's a fair sample size to overcome national biases. Lonzo, who does America say should get the number 4 spot in the college football playoff rankings?
Ohio State, of course.
That's what I thought. And I thought incorrectly.
So what you're saying is the voting public of America has bought into the narrative that Cincinnati plays a good enough schedule that they should be ranked number 4.
What I'm saying, Lonzo, is that the American public have bought into the narrative that Cincinnati has played a tough enough schedule that they should be number 4. What would you say? What percentage of the vote would you consider impressive for Cincinnati to get, with Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State being the other 3 options? What percentage of the vote would you say Cincinnati needed to get from the general public, over 26,100 votes, for you to consider an impressive amount of votes? Just a percentage.
Impressive?
Yeah, like where you went, okay, that's a pretty good number for the fans to say.
53%.
Well, right now they have 49%.
Okay.
Just a tick shot.
I'm not impressed.
You're not impressed. No, because it's not 53%.
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
said that.
Yeah.
26,000. In fact, I'm gonna refresh it. Let's see if it's updated at all. After 2 hours of voting, ESPN's poll has 26,152 votes. 49% of those votes go to Cincinnati. So right around, doing math in my head, but I'm dumb, so it's not going to be perfect. Of 26,152 votes, that means Cincinnati has garnered, what, 12,800 some odd of them? Ballparking it? About 12,800 of the 26,000 votes have come in favor of the Cincinnati Bearcats. Texter says Oklahoma and Cincinnati should both be above all one-loss teams. So that texter would have Georgia 1. I would assume Oklahoma 2, Cincinnati 3, and then I guess Oregon 4 by way of beating Ohio State. Ohio State 5, Michigan or Michigan State 5, and Michigan or Michigan State 6. Texture says ESPN, Michigan and Michigan State are pretty much identical, with Michigan State winning the head-to-head and Michigan is ranked higher. This committee is a joke. So what this says to me is that the committee doesn't really have standards. They vote on opinion, right? I am now convinced the committee 100% votes on opinion, and here's why. Because when you look at Oregon and Ohio State at 3 and 4, right? Oregon and Ohio State. Oregon is ahead of Ohio State at number 3. Lonzo, what's going to be the justification, the rationale behind having Oregon ahead of Ohio State?
Head-to-head.
Yeah, they beat them. They beat them. However, 2 spots below them, they've got Michigan ranked ahead of Michigan State. What's the rationale for that one?
Don't really know.
Thank you. Now, I'll tell you what they're going to say the rationale is if they were pressed into a microphone, which they won't be. By the way, Texture says 12,789. Way to go on the quick math, bud. Hey, I did a smart. I'll take it. Doesn't happen very often. If you press the committee into explaining their votes regarding Michigan, Michigan State, and why the Wolverines are ahead of Michigan State, despite the fact that they beat them a week and a half ago, what they're going to say is, yeah, but Michigan State's loss is way worse than Michigan's loss, even though Michigan State beat Michigan, right? That's the only rationale. If anybody else has a better explanation, I am all ears. I got big ones. They can hear. I'm all ears. But the only rationale I can come up with is that the committee looked at Michigan State and said, you lost to Purdue, unranked Purdue. Michigan has 1 loss. Who's it to? Michigan State, a top 6 team, a top 5 team when that L happened. So over here in the 6-7 spot, they say that comparative loss is more important. Michigan's loss more impressive to Michigan State. In fact, Michigan's loss to Michigan State versus Michigan State's loss to Purdue, Michigan State's loss to Purdue was more impactful than Michigan State's win over Michigan. But then I look up to 3-4. Lonzo, who's got a tougher strength of schedule? Who's got a better list of opponents that they defeated right now, Ohio State or Oregon?
I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Of course you are, because that's the correct answer. So at 6-7, the bad loss is more important than the head-to-head win. But in 3 and 4, the head-to-head win is more important than the bad loss. The only takeaway that I have here is that they vote on the eye test above everything else. They vote on their opinion and protection for keeping Cincinnati out before everything else. Texter says, ESPN, Michigan and Michigan State both have 1 loss. 1 L is to a top 6 team, and the other L is to an unranked team. I think that outweighs head-to-head. So does the committee, right? That's the only explanation I have, is that the committee thinks that an unranked L to Purdue is worse than the positivity of a ranked win over Michigan.
Now, this is going to hurt me to say this. It really is. If Purdue were to upset Ohio State, going with that rationale, you'd have to flip it.
You'd have to move Michigan State back ahead of Michigan, wouldn't you?
You would.
I agree.
Because then suddenly that loss is not nearly as bad as they. And Purdue has had some pretty big wins.
Sure have.
They upset Iowa.
They beat Oregon State, started the slide of Oregon State. They did beat Iowa 24, and not just beat Iowa.
And if I recall, Iowa was ranked number 2 at the time.
That is correct. That was the start of the slide for the Hawkeyes. They beat Nebraska. That's not huge. They beat Michigan State. Obviously, they got Ohio State this Saturday. That's going to be shockingly a 3:30 game. Shockingly. I thought they might have moved that.
I don't worry about time. I think that's too much is made of that. A victory is a victory at noon or 3:30.
You're not wrong.
Or 7 o'clock.
I just thought they'd want to feature that game, right?
Maybe there's some better games, or maybe they're not giving Purdue any love either.
Yeah. So the problem that I have here is the inconsistency, right? Because over here in the 5-6 spot, you say that the unranked loss is more important than the head-to-head win between the 5 team and the 6 team. Or excuse me, 6 team and 7 team. But then over here in the 3-4, you're telling me that the head-to-head win is more important than the unranked loss. It is the exact same situation in both spots, right? Does anybody want to argue that it's, for some reason, a different scenario? Over here, a team that won the head-to-head but lost to an unranked team. And over here, a team that won the head-to-head matchup but lost to an unranked team. The other team only has one loss, but it's to the team that also lost to an unranked team. So in the 3-4 spot, you're telling me the head-to-head matchup is more important than the L to an unranked team. And over here, you're telling me the L to an unranked team is more important than the head-to-head matchup. The only conclusion that I can draw from that is that you guys just vote however the hell you want with no standards set to it. And maybe that's the case. But Lonzo, if that's the case, then just say that's the case. Stop doing all this. Well, we consider head-to-head most important. No, you don't. You just vote on your opinion, and that's okay, but just say it.
But if you are a member of the committee or representing the committee, keep everything vague.
Well, they've done a great job of that.
I mean, but you would do the same thing. I mean, you have to leave everything vague because, everything's going to be overanalyzed to, to the nth degree, and you need to make sure that you leave everything vague so you have some wiggle room. They have to do that.
Yeah, I just
doesn't mean we have to like it, but I get it from there.
Doing, I guess that's my problem. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it's not even that big of a deal, right? Like, ultimately, this doesn't matter because they're going to do whatever they want anyway.
Well, also,
but just say what you're doing.
If this was the final poll, would people be making such a big deal about it? Because it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. 5 and 6 means nothing.
If this was the final poll, the conversation, and interesting, here's what I do find interesting. As I scrolled around my sports talking head channels this morning, what I found interesting, Zoe, is that of all of the SEC talkers, right? Peter Burns, Matt Stinchcomb, Roman Harper, Paul Feinbaum, the College Game Day crew. You know what I didn't hear? With the exception of Roman Harper, and I think for like 6 seconds, the Game Day crew last night during the rankings. You know what conversation I have not been hearing today? Cincinnati. That's the conversation I'm not hearing. And in fairness, I'm part of that, right? I'm part of that. I got an ESPN Twitter poll now at over 27,000 votes, and nearly half of America says that Cincinnati should be the number 4 team. Hang on, I'm going somewhere with this. Don't. Lonzo just rolled his eyes so hard they went up and then came out the bottom.
This is one of those. If I had said this, you'd be good.
No.
Half of America.
I'm taking it another step further.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm not going appeal ad populum, right?
It was all about you being able to say that, wasn't it?
You set me up.
Good job. I did.
Thank you very much. You set me up.
That's what I do. That's why we're a great team.
This is not appeal ad populum. This is not the appeal to popularity, right? Appeal to popularity. Well, 80% of people believe this. That doesn't make it true. The number of people that believe in something doesn't make it true or not. The point that I'm making here is this. If I told you, Lonzo, here's what we look for in sports radio. I'm going to pull the curtain back just a little bit. Do you know what we look for in sports radio when we're deciding topics? Do you know what absolutely gets us drooling more than any other topic to bring up? A topic where 50% of America feels one way and 50% of America feels the other way. You know why? Because it causes conflict. If 50% of America believes X and 50% Y, then Lonzo and I go, I'm going to say X and you're going to say Y, and we're going to get the callers to check in with us.
Conflict
drives this business.
Yes, and it causes debate, and debate is what we're here to do.
Oh, yeah. Conflict drives this business. Here is one right here. 50% of America believe that Cincinnati should be number 4, and 50% don't. That we should be, as a sports talk media industry, drooling over this. Because it is exactly what we look for. Half of y'all think Cincinnati should be in, half of y'all don't. I should be sitting here going, Kirk Herbstreit should be sitting here going, Paul Feinbaum should be sitting here going, Roman Harper should be sitting here going. I think Cincinnati should be in, and having a producer or co-host go, I don't think they should be in. Hey, let's go to the phone lines. That's what should be happening. But as I scrolled around last night when the rankings came out, as I scrolled around this morning finishing up my show prep, that's the conversation I did not hear happening. I didn't hear that happening at all. All I heard was, and I think it's fine for the record, because I'm doing it. And if I'm doing it, obviously it must be good. All I hear is the committee took one set of standards with Oregon, Ohio State, and the exact opposite of those standards for Michigan, Michigan State. That's a glaring problem. Have your set reason for voting the way you vote, or just come out and go, hey, we put 20 dudes in a room and we just vote however the hell we want to vote, and be honest about it so that we can, stop doing this. That's all I'm saying. All right, a bunch of texts that have come in since we started this segment. Let's see what we got here. Texter says, and your text broke up, so I'm going to do the best I can to put it together because it came through in like 6 different texts. ESPN, this is a joke. Quote, the Michigan State discussion really started last week. CFP Selection Committee Chair Jerry Barta told reporters Tuesday night. I would just summarize that the committee went back and forth, and really the consensus was that Michigan was probably a more complete team. Cool. Then stop telling me head-to-head games matter, because they don't. Lonzo, if you know what this is, one big long thing of saying, Michigan passed the eye test before Michigan State did. That's all that sentence says. That's it. We think Michigan's better.
So if the committee comes out and says that eye test is the most important thing, then there's no longer an argument.
No.
Right?
Here is an argument, because here's why. Lonzo, if I ran a poll right now that said who's better, Ohio State or Oregon, what do you think America says?
They say Ohio State.
Overwhelmingly. So therefore, the eye test is not what you use. It's not the criteria. The problem is, you can't have consistency, because over here is X and over here it's negative X. It's the opposite of X. There's no consistency to this at all. And that's my ultimate problem with it. Texter says, Lonzo, you're just doing what Rob did with the Braves so you don't jinx Ohio State getting beat by Purdue. The old reverse psychology jinx. I like it.
That would be if I believed in jinxes, and I don't.
Allegedly.
I don't believe in jinx.
ESPN, if Michigan wins out, they will go to the college football playoff no matter what other teams do around them.
Pretty much between the 3 teams, Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State, if one of them wins out, that includes winning the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, because they got to bump Ohio State.
They're in.
Yeah. If Michigan bumps Ohio State, they'll jump Ohio State, and they'll jump Cincinnati when they do. No doubt about it. I agree. Texas says on Michigan State, the committee was quoted the reason, in their opinion, Michigan has a better balanced team than Michigan State. Again, their opinion. That was played on your station at 5:30 this morning. I was not awake at 5:30 this morning, so I wouldn't know that. I work in radio. I don't get up at 5:30 unless I'm on the air at 6, and I'm not, so I don't. But yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. On what? That's the point, though, right? The committee literally just said for Michigan State, we use the eye test. And for Oregon, Ohio State, we use head-to-head. Pick one.
Let me just also commend the texter for listening to the station
at 5:30 in the morning.
Good job, man.
That's Dave. Dave, thanks for checking in, Dave.
There you go, Dave. You're in here at 5:30. You're in here at 2:20. Way to go.
I love it. I respect it. ESPN, Michigan lost to the team that lost to Purdue. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying. I am fine if your reason is Michigan State lost to Purdue and Michigan State lost to the team that lost to Purdue. It still doesn't make sense in the rankings. Texter says, somebody sent us the text again that Gary Barta said. Another texter says, ESPN, just let Cincy lose their way out. I mean, they almost lost to Tulsa. It might happen, right? You know what the college football playoff is, ranking committee is thinking right now about Cincinnati, Lonzo? Please lose. Please lose. Please lose. Please lose. Please lose.
Unless they're pro 12-team playoff, and then they want them to win so they can leave them out so they can push the fact that we need the 12 team.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You might be right. ESPN, Rob, Cincinnati is full of boat. That's what we call a callback in the comedy business, Lonzo. And finally, ESPN, after the rankings came out, Penn State went from giving Michigan 1 point to now being the underdog by 1 point. That's from Joe and Greer, a Penn State fan. I don't know. Is it just 1 point? Really? I'm more shocked by the line than the change of it.
Penn State's a better team than the record.
Oh, I said that last week. I completely agree with that. But hey, Michigan's better than Michigan State. They're the number 6 team in the country. 1 point for unranked Penn State. Interesting line. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We can keep this conversation going. I got some sound from some of those names I mentioned earlier. Let's take a break. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
QC.
Our friends at QC Kinetics want you to be able to live your life without joint pain and maybe more importantly, without the fear of joint pain. You know what I'm talking about. You know those things that you love to do, but you're going to wake up the next day and the knees hurt, the hips hurt, the lower back hurts, the shoulders hurt, the elbows hurt. And you end up being in a spot where you don't want to do the things that you love to do because you're afraid of how you're going to feel the next day. QC Kinetics wants you to know you don't have to be afraid of that joint pain anymore, and you don't have to go under the knife to make that joint pain go away. You're going to get told, you got to replace this, you got to replace that, you got to get sliced and diced and go under anesthesia. QC Kinetics wants you to call them before you do that. Why? Because they offer non-surgical regenerative therapies that help to heal and restore the connective tissue in your joints. That connective tissue wears down over time. You get swelling, inflammation. That's where the pain comes from. They use the own natural way that your body heals itself. They just hype it up, speed it up, and help you grow that connective tissue back and keep it there so that inflammation and that joint pain goes away. Find out what I mean. Go to QCkinetics.com, QCkinetics.com, and check out the science there, or just give them a call at 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free and find out how QC Kinetics can make you feel better, faster, naturally. It's our friends at QC Kinetics.
College basketball from yesterday. Clemson opens up the season knocking off Presbyterian 64-53. Amir Dawes scoring 21 points. They'll play Wofford coming up on Friday. Speaking of Wofford, they pick up a win against Bob Jones University, 117-79 in their opener yesterday. South Carolina basketball, they defeat South Carolina State by a 78-60 score. As you heard right here, Furman basketball, they pick up a win over North Greenville, 118-66 as Alex Hunter and Mike Bothwell each scored 22 points. They play again on Friday at Louisville. We'll have the broadcast for you. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins football. The Paladins try to get back in the win column at home against the VMI T-Dets this Saturday. Begin at 12:30 at Contact 2. Every play, every game. From ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the other.
Did that go in? Nice. Nice.
Rim rotation.
Local agencies to help those who've been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Contact our sponsors, Spartanburg Housing, Middle Tiger Community Center, or Upstate Family Resource Center to see if you or your loved one is eligible for assistance. The total amount of financial assistance a household can receive under the ERAP program cannot exceed 15 months. Direct assistance is offered to renters when landlords do not participate.
Spectrum Business is proud to support small businesses with the best internet and phone services at the best value. But we want to do more. So now, for a limited time, get 1 month of services for free That's right, 1 month on us. Get 200 megabit per second internet and business phone, and even TV, all free for 1 month, plus free installation. Call 855-757-4544 or visit spectrum.com/business today. Restrictions apply.
All season, you can follow your favorite team no matter where you are on Odyssey, your audio home for football. Odyssey brings you local sports talk across the NFL's biggest markets. Get Monday morning reactions and exclusive interviews with football pros like Patrick Mahomes, Matt Jones, and more. Even check out what your rivals are up to with local coverage and fan reactions from their stations, plus podcasts for your team. We've got you covered from all angles. Stay in touch with the heartbeat of your team, even when you're thousands of miles away. Download the Odyssey app today to get started.
You coming to bed, hon?
Yep, honey, I'll be right there. Just got to turn out the light.
Ow. Ow.
Some things never change. Like your kids always leaving tiny toys on the floor. Yeah.
I think I left the downstairs light on.
Please don't make me go. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wiper blades shattering, skipping, or squeaking? Don't let freaks or smearing on your windshield compromise your visibility. When it's time to replace your wiper blades, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and see our selection. Our Auto Parts people will even install your new wiper blades while you wait. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
This report is sponsored by Ncaa Auto Parts. At Ncaa, when it comes to serving you, their motor never quits. From next day delivery to curbside pickup to getting involved with local communities. Get the parts you need when you need them. That's Ncaa know-how.
There's the rest, and then there's the best. You're listening.
Just want it on the record that I never want to hear the sentence again, just win and everything will take care of itself, because that's clearly not always the case, right? Not when it comes to the playoff rankings. Texas says the fact that Wake Forest ranked 8th after giving up 450 yards rushing and 56 points to Army says that all the rankings are usually very flawed. Hey, man, like, it is what it is, right? They won the game. They won the game. I'm not saying that's the most important thing. I'm saying they won all their games. They were undefeated. Now they're not. They dropped. At least that part took care of itself. And that's no disrespect to Wake Forest. I was kind of pulling for the Demon Deeks a little bit, right? I got a little bit of love for the Demon Deeks. I love an underdog.
Did anyone think that, that an undefeated ACC team, other than Clemson, in any other year, deserved to be anywhere near the top, though?
No, but I did ask the question, Lonzo. I did ask the question last week before the L that Wake Forest took to North Carolina. If you switched Clemson and Wake Forest's schedule, right? If you flip those two schedules and Clemson played Wake Forest schedule and was undefeated, if Clemson did exactly what Wake Forest did this year, would they be in the top 4?
They would. And
Yes,
other than this year, them being ranked, all the other years they've been ranked as high as they have been, they've absolutely deserved. But they've been so far above everything in the ACC. And, so I don't have a problem with Wake being ranked way low.
Way low now or before they lost?
Well, now they should be ranked really low. But even before, again, if you put them head-to-head, and you're going to have to go with eye test, if you put them head-to-head with a lot of the teams that were ahead of them, you would have picked that team and not Wake.
Well, here's the deal. When I brought up that point, the point that I was making, right? The point that I was making was 100% not that Wake did or did not deserve to be there. I was absolutely not emphasizing anything more than the playoff committee rankings I have problems with. I think it's as much about branding as it is anything else, right? I think it's as much about branding. If Alabama is Lonzo, if Alabama's Ole Miss, are they number 2 in the country right now? If Ole Miss had Alabama's schedule thus far and we're undefeated, are they number 2 in the country right now?
Probably not.
No, Alabama's there because they're Alabama. That one seems obvious to me. If Auburn,
So you're saying that eye test matters, or that mascot matters?
I'm saying the top two things that matter. The top two things that matter are eye test and branding. Part of the reason that I think Michigan is ahead of Michigan State is because Michigan's the bigger brand, aren't they? Michigan State's a basketball brand. That's an Izzo brand.
Oh,
They
you're
lost last night, by the way.
absolutely right. Michigan is a bigger football brand.
Yeah. I honestly think that might be, if not the biggest reason that Michigan jumped Michigan State. It's not the fact that Michigan has a better strength of schedule or because Michigan State lost to Purdue. Michigan jumped Michigan State for the same reason that Michigan will jump Cincinnati if they beat Ohio State. Because you're putting a bigger brand in the Final Four. That's why. This is why I'm in favor of a 12-team playoff expansion. Because as the setup is now with 4 teams, teams with branding will get bonus points over teams that don't have branding. Ole Miss, if they had Alabama's schedule was undefeated, would not be number 2 in the country. They wouldn't be. They're there, Bama, because they have branding, because they have a history of being there. If Clemson had Wake Forest schedule and was undefeated right now, Lonzo, they'd be number 2 in the country. They'd be ahead of one-loss Alabama. I would take that bet. Can't prove it. It's metaphorical. But if Alabama played if Clemson played Wake schedule and was undefeated right now, they'd be the number 2 team in the country. Why? Because that's what they've been doing for years. That's their brand. Same schedule, same wins. If they had won this weekend against North Carolina, Clemson playing Wake schedule, they'd be the number 2 team in the country, behind only undefeated Georgia. It's about branding, and it's about the eye test. And frankly, I think branding might be more important than the eye test in certain situations. The problem I had with the playoff rankings isn't what they are. The playoff rankings, I don't have a problem with because of what the rankings are. I have a problem because we all get told year after year, oh, we got a system. We got a system that's going to ensure the best 4 teams are out there. And I don't know if we do. I think we've got a system that ensures that the 4 most profitable teams are out there. If Cincinnati's in a college football playoff and they end up, let's say, in the Rose Bowl against Georgia, you think Cincinnati's selling 50,000 tickets to that game? Nope. I mean, they might. I'm not saying they won't. But do you think that they're going to get the TV ratings that Michigan versus Georgia would? That Oklahoma versus Georgia would? That Michigan State would get? No, Cincinnati won't get those TV ratings. They won't get that money. So therefore, Cincinnati's going to sit at 5 and watch.
Even though Cincinnati's been so hyped this year.
Doesn't matter.
They've been overly hyped this year.
Overly hyped. I think they've been hyped. I'm not going to say overly because it takes away from what they've done. And not everything's been great. But they did win on the road at Notre Dame. Granted, a Notre Dame team that also almost lost to, Toledo and Purdue? Right? Cincinnati wins. If Cincinnati wins every game from now to the end of the year by 24 points, you know where they're going to finish in the college football playoff rankings, Lonzo?
5.
At number 5. Texter says, do y'all think number 5 is the ceiling for Cincinnati? It seems like no matter what, 6 or 7 will jump them. Yup. 5's the ceiling, guys. 5's the ceiling. Because 4 gets you in.
Yeah, you get to play on New Year's Day. Good for you.
Yeah. That's what it is, right? It's a little pat on the butt to Cincinnati. Enjoy the Sugar Bowl, guys. Have fun playing New Year's Day. While 3 teams that lost the game ahead of y'all get to go play for the dance. Why? Because you won't put eyes on TV like Michigan does, like Oklahoma does, like Alabama does, like Oregon does, like Ohio State does. That's it. All it comes down to And I just wish the committee would be honest about
So
it.
what do they got to do? Do they have to win 2 big-time games, 2 games over a ranked team? So they got to win 3? Because it would have to all be non-conference games.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's going to matter, right? Because every year, Lonzo, the goalpost gets moved for the Power 5 teams, doesn't it? Or for the Group of 5 teams. Every year, the goalpost gets moved. Excuse me. First, it was you got to win all your games, and then it was you got to dominate all your, and then it was you got to beat a non-conference opponent. Then it's you got to beat a Power 5 non-conference opponent. Then it's you got to beat a Power 5 non-conference opponent on the road. And oh, by the way, keep in mind that when a team hits Cincinnati level, hits UCF level, Power 5 teams stop scheduling them. You think Notre Dame regrets scheduling Cincinnati right about now?
Here's the difference, though. You mentioned UCF. Cincinnati, they go undefeated, and they win all their games. They're not going to declare themselves national champions.
I would. Hell, you know what I used to do in Florida? For years, I had, for 2 years before I left there.
That's still years. I mean,
Technically.
it's more than one. So.
Technically correct's the best kind of correct. For 2 years on my old show, Lonzo, I had a promo running that congratulated the University of Central Florida Golden Knights on their 2017 national championship win, or whatever year it was. For years, I ran a promo that congratulated them on winning the national championship that year. You know why? Because it drove Alabama fans up a freaking wall, and it made me LOL. That's why. If Cincinnati gets locked out and is undefeated with a road win over Notre Dame, I'm going to go ahead and warn you. If a one-loss team wins the national championship, I will be calling the Cincinnati Bearcats your national champions just for fun. I know it's not true.
If I were Cincinnati and they go undefeated and Ohio State doesn't win the national championship, I would declare myself at least champions of Ohio, which would drive Ohio State crazy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Are you kidding me? Texas says, is there anything a smaller team can do to better their branding besides be a dynasty? And not really.
Win a
national championship.
Well, it would be really hard to keep them out of 4.
Nobody's going to have 3.
No, I was going to say if they had beat, they beat what? Was it Indiana that they also beat?
Yeah.
If Indiana had been ranked,
much better chance.
Yeah.
I still don't think it gets them in. I really don't. I still don't think it gets them in. Because here's the thing. You're setting the schedule for Ohio State next year. Alonzo's not a good answer because he probably would. But if your paycheck if your paycheck is based on Ohio State winning games and Cincinnati tears through the rest of their schedule, you booking them for next year?
Yes.
You would.
Yes.
The folks at Ohio State whose checks get signed? No. We'll take Akron again.
No, they would because like some other, teams, Ohio State doesn't duck. So yeah, they'll take on Cincinnati to prove that they're number 1 team in Ohio.
Ever the optimist, Lonzo. That's why we love him. Texas says it's about the 85-man roster's blue chip ratio must be at least 50%, or you don't stand a chance of forget winning the CFP, Texas. You don't stand a chance of getting invited to try, right? I mean, hell, I'd think at some point you'd put them in there just to let Georgia smoke Cincinnati and prove they don't deserve to be there, right, CFP? Nope. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, it's ESPN Upstate.
There's a tweet. Sources saying Odell Beckham Jr. will sign with the New England's Patriots, and it's a picture of your cousin from Boston. That's great.
OBJ was officially released by the Browns Monday, cleared waivers yesterday. He does want to spend the rest of this season with a playoff contender. More on this story on the 6 Eastern Sports Center on ESPN TV. The Jets are sticking with quarterback Mike White for at least another week. They'll get the start against the Bills on Sunday. Coach Robert Saleh said Zach Wilson's knee injury was a factor in the decision. White electrified the offense in 2 starts as an injury replacement. Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets against the Pacers tonight. The Denver Star center and reigning NBA MVP is out as he serves a 1-game suspension for
for forcefully pushing Heat power forward Marquise Morris in the back in Monday night's win.
From the Ingles Market Studio, this is ESPN Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station. We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is pretty bad. When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind. Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? No matter your learning style or experience level, Babbel has lessons designed for you that will get you speaking quickly and confidently.
I tried learning Spanish before, but I couldn't stick with it until I found Babbel.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
I can't wait to use our new language skills on our upcoming adventures.
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Running a small business means just that, always running.
Woo, you're not kidding.
Which is why this holiday, while the other guys, not mentioning any names, are kicking it back, we'll be kicking it into gear by leaving our doors open for you. So whatever the ing you need this holiday, whether it's packing, shipping, or mailboxing, we'll be right here waiting.
Now that's an ing worth celebrating.
The UPS Store, every ing for small business, all in one place.
The UPS Store.
The UPS Store locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Churches is adding Applewood.
Or Nathan, even like the college football level that's one level below this. They have a playoff every year. A successful playoff every year. Will Rob make it back in the room in time? Here he comes. I think I hear him stomping down the hallway. I was right. You will appreciate this. Matt Rule on if Brian Burns would play at Arizona. Brian is like Wolverine. He just kind of regenerates.
Good line.
Yes.
That's how you win me over. Make constant comic book references.
Get more into what you're into with the latest XPS and AMOS systems featuring Intel Core processors. Save on top monitors, docks, and accessories, all with free shipping plus great financing from Dell Preferred Account. Call 800 by Dell for Black Friday deals. That's 800 by Dell.
So Matt Rule's doing his press conference right now. He said that Sam Darnold will miss at least 4 weeks and will go on injured reserve based on what happened. Asked about the fact that Matt Rule said that Sam Darnold had an injury to another part of his shoulder. He said that Matt Rule, here's his quote from Steve Reed, who covers the Panthers for the Associated Press. He said, Matt Rule said this injury was in a different spot on Sunday than from where Darnold was injured in week 8. And that Sam Darnold reported pain in a different spot before that injury was diagnosed. Said PJ Walker will indeed start Sunday against Arizona. And that as far as Cam Newton, Rule said, quote, I don't want to talk about hypotheticals, end quote. So sounds to me like those of you who were kind of hoping that you would end up seeing Cam Newton back in a Carolina jersey will have to wait. Likely not going to happen. So that's what Matt Rule said in his press conference just a little while ago, according to Steve Reed of the Associated Press. So I think you can go ahead and write Cam Newton off the books for the Carolina Panthers. Listen, that does not mean that the Panthers are going to take my advice and go ahead and tank the season. But Lonzo, it doesn't not mean that. It doesn't not mean that.
Yeah, you can go with that if you want. Yeah, I don't think they're going to tank.
I do want.
At least not on purpose.
At least not on purpose. Good line. Yeah, look, we're going to see. We're going to find out. All right, we're going to find out. Like I said, I think that's the right move. I think if you are looking at trying to get, if you're looking at trying to find the quarterback that you are going to utilize to move on from Sam Darnold, the right pick is lose all the games, get yourself some higher draft picks next year, move up in the draft overall, package them together. You're not going to have a great 2022 NFL draft quarterback class.
I was going to say, you can do all that and Sam Darnold's still your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you still got Darnold for next year. I don't think you're getting out of that, right? But Spencer Rattler, if he goes to the draft, you taking him? No. Sam Howell from North Carolina was expected to be a darling. If he goes to the draft, you taking him? Third, fourth round project maybe, but you're not taking him early in the first. Keaton Slovis out of Southern California was expected to be a darling. Haven't heard his name at all. Who's the guy? Matt Corral from Ole Miss, maybe? I mean, he's popped up on some Heisman watch list, but is he a first-round guy you're looking at? Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh, 6'2", 220. Pitt's had some good performances this year, but is he the guy you move on from Darnold? I don't know. Malik Willis from Liberty. You taking the Liberty guy in the first round? Probably not. He's a player. Probably not. Carson Strong from Nevada. These are the guys that are at the top of Kuiper's draft board. Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati. You taking him? Probably not. And then you get down to Howell. You get down to the rest of the guys we mentioned. By the way, I don't think Rattler goes to the draft after the year he's had, right? He transfers somewhere else and tries another round of college. He's definitely transferring.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good move for him.
No, not at all. So who's the guy? I don't think there is the guy, right? I don't think there is the guy at quarterback in this draft. You are going to become a victim of your own decision-making and circumstance at the same time. So what do you do if you're Carolina? I think you go ahead and tank it out. I think you tank it up, and you think you try to trade for an established quarterback somewhere. You let him ride with Darnold for 1 year, and then you move on. I honestly think that's your only option at this point. Good luck. Let's take a break. When we come back, full round of Twitter trending topics up next. Lonzo tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you the 30 to 45 seconds of what I know about it. If I don't know something about it, I'll make it up, like most of my career. It's the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
Thursday, chance for rain showers, cloudy high 65, and Friday high 67 and sunny for the weekend. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Uchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 81.
Saturday on college football on ESPN Radio. It's a critical SEC West showdown in Oxford, Mississippi, where the 16th ranked Ole Miss Rebels welcome 13th ranked Texas A&M. The Aggies are riding a 4-game winning streak, while Ole Miss is undefeated at home this season. 13th ranked Texas A&M, number 16 Ole Miss.
Saturday night at 6:30 on your home for the best games in college football. ESPN Upstate.
Hey, it's ESPN Upstate's Mark Ryan. Join me at Ingles Markets this and every Thursday from 3 to 7 with a special live edition of Offsides with Mark Ryan. This Thursday will be at 429 East Main Street in Liberty. Brought to you by Ingles Markets on ESPN Upstate.
This feature sponsored by Credit Karma. Find the card you're more likely to be approved for today with Credit Karma. With over 100 million members, there's plenty of reviews to help you get credit scores and
Finishing the week out strong. We're in the middle of the week, so, you know.
Rebels play at Northwestern on action this Friday night at 7. By your local Ingles Market on 106.3 WORD and the Odyssey app.
On the Odyssey app, there is a place with no judgment, no stereotypes, and no labels. It's called Channel Q. We're the place the LGBTQ plus community and allies gather to talk, to laugh, and play some incredible music. So feel free to join us. Just search Channel Q on the Odyssey app. Channel Q, giving everyone a voice.
We are Channel Q, and we are proud to be an Odyssey original.
Microban 24. Your hard surfaces are sanitized for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch after touch.
So 6 hours from now?
Still sanitized.
12 hours?
Yep.
18 hours?
We're really doing this.
24 hours.
When used as directed, one spray of Microban keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria, touch after touch for, up to 24 hours.
Wow.
Microban 24. The sanitizer 4 out of 5 doctors use in their own homes. So why aren't you?
Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year has arrived. Step up your vision with top tech up to 45% off during their early access Black Friday event. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Plus, get incredible savings on Windows 11 PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping. There's also special financing with Dell Business Credit. Get started by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Get inside AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So it's about time for an oil change. We've got what you need. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic or synthetic high mileage motor oil and an STP extended life oil filter for just $36.99. And you can get it all fast, your way. Just order online with a free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery. Get inside AutoZone. Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restrictions apply.
Want to be a fly on the wall at Nat Geo's headquarters? Well, with the Overheard podcast, you can. From smuggled dinosaur bones to man-made glaciers, each episode takes a dive into the curious conversations that occur behind the scenes at National Geographic. Overheard is presented by Geico. Millions of ESPN sports fans count on Geico for reliable car insurance and low rates. Visit geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
This report is sponsored by Ncaa Auto Parts. At Ncaa, when it comes to serving you, their motor never quits. From next day delivery to curbside pickup to getting involved with local communities. Get the parts you need when you need them. That's Napa know-how.
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate. And now, The Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on all of the internets, and he will tell us why. He will regale us with the vast knowledge that is in his noggin. The first thing that's trending is Xavier Woods.
I saw him trending earlier. I saw a story yesterday. I'm assuming this is connected. So Xavier runs a YouTube channel or Twitch stream called Up, Up, Down, Down. And because of the fact that a lot of folks in WWE participate in Up, Up, Down, Down, because of the fact that WWE has basically taken these independent contractors and said, all your little side projects belong to us. And a lot of the wrestlers that were kind of big personalities on Xavier's channel, that the ones that are left are effectively not boycotting, but just not going on the channel and kind of devaluing it to prove to WWE that what Xavier built up is a worthwhile project. While guys like Adam Cole, who's gone, and AEW started their own gamer channel now with Adam Cole, Bebe, and some of the other guys that used to be on Wood's channel that is massively grown in popularity. Kind of a shot back at Vince, but I really feel bad for Xavier getting caught in the middle of this.
Yeah, and he's putting out videos and stuff of like trying to pour money into a glass.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
things
he's
that.
definitely shooting back too. Like he's not unarmed in this fight.
And my question for you is: this an attempt to be let go?
No, I don't think he can afford, because look, Xavier's one of the few guys in WWE that's kind of on top of the game right now, right?
He for sure is. He's the king. He's the king.
He's king of the ring. I mean, he's not really, but I do think that they have a point in that he built this side project that WWE could have absolutely, instead of trying to suck money out of, could have helped to grow and invest in and let it, because it possibly could have been big enough to basically be what G4 used to be for you and I, Lonzo. But instead, they're just kind of bleeding it dry and taking away from the resources that Xavier used to build this thing up. Like I said, I feel bad for him because he can't really go anywhere. He's on top of the world as a wrestler in WWE. But here's the argument I've made for years. If you're going to treat your wrestlers as independent contractors, which WWE does, right? They're basically 1099 employees. Then let them do what the hell they want to do on the side. Say, here's our code of conduct. If you don't want to fit in this, then we'll let you go. But the fact that they have hamstrung Xavier when he had this massive project going on, it's just kind of disappointing to me.
But at the same time, you mentioned G4. They're allowing him to be a host for G4 now, and he is a host for G4. So maybe he's allowing this to go bye-bye so he can build it back up on G4.
I mean, maybe that's a possibility, but I can't imagine that all the other guys and gals, the other wrestlers,
you're coming at your company when you're doing this. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Xavier may very well cost himself within the but remember, it's not technically Xavier doing this, except for a couple of smaller shots here and there. It's everybody else. I don't know. It's gonna be yet one more interesting, dramatic situation to watch play out.
All right, the next thing that's trending is Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd has been voted Time Magazine's sexiest man alive for 2021. If Paul Rudd's the sexiest man alive in 2021, he was also that dating back to like 1993 because the dude has never aged. Like, I'm convinced the story of Dorian Gray, the picture of Dorian Gray, was based on Paul Rudd. I'm convinced. Somewhere there is an attic of there's a painting in an attic of what Paul Rudd is supposed to look like if he was actually his age. And if it's ever found and destroyed, Paul Rudd will just be Thanos out of existence.
For sure.
And also, Paul Rudd's awesome.
He's great in that, man. And I can't wait to see the next movie that he's in 2 weeks.
Ghostbusters 2 or
Ghostbusters
3 or 4
Afterlife.
Yeah.
They're just calling it Afterlife.
I just like to point out, it is unfair to me. Lonzo, that Paul Rudd gets to be that hilarious and good looking. You should have to pick one. I picked hilarious.
Why is it only unfair to you?
Well, because you're that good looking.
Well, there's that, but I mean, it's unfair to a lot of people, is what I'm saying. I don't include myself in there. All right, the next thing that's trending is Fitzgerald.
I'm assuming today's the anniversary.
Yes, it is.
Of the which sunk in the Superior, Erie. Like Erie.
Well, if you want to find out, you need to listen to the song.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Yes.
Come at me, bro.
46 years ago today, the Edmund Fitzgerald.
I was correct the first time, by the way. Lake Superior, and of course, one of the greatest storytelling songs ever written.
Yeah. In the song, so.
I mean, it's a tragic story. The Edmund Fitzgerald. I read once. I don't know if you're into the macabre like I am. When they dove the Edmund Fitzgerald for the first time, because it sunk so deep in a freshwater lake that is so cold, when they dove it for the first time, they actually had to black out the footage because the bodies of the sailors did not decompose. So when they went down the first time, the sailors looked like the bodies of the sailors were still there, undecomposed. Wow. They look like ghosts on the ship. So actually,
it's like cryogenics. It's just they were frozen.
They're frozen.
Okay.
You can't see footage of the dive of the Edmund Fitzgerald because they had to remove the bodies because they just look like ghosts.
How about that then? Yeah.
Always on a happy note. Back tomorrow, we'll talk Swamp Rabbits hockey with the folks over at the Swamp Rabbits. They got a big weekend coming up. We'll start breaking down the weekend's games and more. Mark Ryan and Diesel are up next with Offsides. My name is Rob Brown for Lonzo. We'll see you tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.